Damn it, you are not Long Chen at all. Who are you? Long Chen stared at the bone throne behind Long Chen in white, and felt the endless power of the law on the bone throne, and she roared. I am Long Chen, or rather, I am the real Long Chen, not the useless Long Chen who was abused by you in the heavenly tribulation. You stupid woman, you still haven't figured out who I am, you are really stupid. Long Chen in white shook his head. Long Chen's words made countless people confused, and they didn't understand what Long Chen was talking about at all. My throne of God is the Lord of God, which condensed the laws of the 9 heavens and 10 earths and condensed through the endless power of faith. Where did you get the skeleton from, and is it worthy of being called a throne? Who are you fooling? Go to hell. Long Chen slashed with the blade of the God's banner in her hand, and the throne of God behind her flashed with divine light, and the sword energy soared into the sky, turning into a 1,000-mile divine blade, and instantly slashed in front of Long Chen in white. This sword, which contained the power of the supreme law, was still released in an instant, but this time people finally understood. The reason why Long Chen could instantly stimulate the power of the law was because he had the throne of God behind him, which helped him to condense the power of the law and transform it into the power of the law. He did not need to bear the impact of the power of the law, nor did he need to master the balance of the power inside and outside his body. At that moment, people finally understood why so many people took the route of Shinto inheritance. This was a typical case of many hands making light work, and the person standing at the top of the flame was simply cheating. Buzz! The shocking divine blade slashed down, and the dragon bone evil moon in the hand of the white-clothed Long Chen blocked it casually, and a shocking scene appeared. Both divine weapons burst out with endless divine light and collided fiercely. The terrifying power of the law instantly flattened the mountains around the Holy Land, and the terrifying ripples spread in all directions. And the white-clothed Long Chen took Long Chen's blow hard, his body motionless, as steady as a rock. Boom, boom. When the terrifying ripples and the strong winds came whistling like a sharp knife, cutting everyone, people really felt the horror of this level of strong man. The ripples spread, and they were far enough away, but they were still pushed back by the terrifying ripples. The power was irresistible. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Long Chen's power pressed down, and the ripple spread, causing the world to roar, but it could not shake Long Chen. At this time, Long Chen's eyes were full of horror. I said before that as long as you have not entered the realm of God Emperor, you are an ant in front of me. Even if you summon the throne of God, you can't change this fact. Do you believe it this time? Long Chen in white held the knife in one hand, holding the blade of God's banner, and said coldly, You fart. Long Chen roared, she just didn't believe it. On the throne of God behind her, more and more runes lit up, and her breath became more and more terrifying. It's useless. You haven't advanced to the God Emperor. You can't restrain the power of the law, and you can't make the power of the law change from quantitative change to qualitative change. You have the throne of God, and I have it too. You control the power of the law, and I can control it too. You are now, even if I give you all the thrones of the 8 gods, you still can't do anything to me. The white-clothed Long Chen had a cold face, as if he didn't take this powerful man of the God banner seriously at all. His arrogant tone and disdainful eyes showed his arrogance and tyranny. Arrogant! Long Chen roared. Is this arrogant? Then let me show you what real arrogance is. Boom! The arm of the white-clothed dragon dust shook, and with a loud bang, the giant blade that Long Chen had chopped out exploded. Whoosh! The white-clothed dragon dust flashed, ignoring Long Chen's domain, and directly bullied Long Chen in front of him. On the dragon bone evil moon, endless runes lit up, and he chopped diagonally with a knife. Boom! Long Chen waved the blade of the divine banner to resist, but with a loud bang, Long Chen was chopped away by the white-clothed dragon dust. The sword of the white-clothed dragon dust was very particular, and the angle of the attack was weird, which happened to be the position where Long Chen had the most difficulty in mastering the balance. In addition, the position where the white-clothed dragon dust chopped was exactly the position where Long Chen could block with both the forehand and the backhand. But because both the forehand and the backhand can be blocked, people's instincts will be slow for a moment, because they are judging which is more advantageous to use the forehand or the backhand. And this moment of slowness made Long Chen suffer a great loss, unable to use his full strength, and was chopped away by the white-clothed dragon dust. A casual knife may seem ordinary, but whether it is the body movement when approaching, the timing of the attack, or the grasp of the attack angle, it all integrates the experience of Long Chun in countless battles. He has a foul mouth and a bad temper, but his strength is very poor. After knocking Long Chun away with a knife, Long Chun in white did not forget to kill him and make up for it with another knife. Because the move was too fast, outsiders could not see the mystery at all. They only saw that Long Chun in white chopped Long Chun away with a casual knife, and they were all shocked. This was an absolute crushing rhythm. And Long Chun in white had roughly figured out Long Chun's combat level with a casual knife. Her combat awareness was first class but not at the top. In other words, with the same strength, she was no match for Long Chun in white. Buzz! Long Chun, who was chopped away by a knife, roared, and the void under her feet exploded. Eager to save face, she rushed to Long Chun in white like a stream of light and slashed with a sword. Shoo! People exclaimed. Long Chun actually cut the white-clothed Long Chun in two with one sword. It all happened too suddenly. However, Long Chun's face changed drastically, because she found out at the first time that the Long Chun she cut off was just a residual shadow. Boom! As expected, just as she reacted, the blood-colored light on the dragon bone evil moon flashed like the fangs of a demon and slashed down at her fiercely. Long Chun instinctively blocked with a sword. There was a loud bang and a mouthful of blood spurted out. In an instant, it fell fiercely from the air to the ground. 8 Gates Purgatory Slash. Long Chun in white shouted, not giving Long Chun any chance at all. The long sword broke through the sky and slashed down brazenly. Boom boom. The huge sword shadow directly penetrated the net of heaven and earth formed by the strong men of the Brahma lineage. In fact, this group of strong men of the Brahma lineage were also stupid. When Long Chun summoned the throne of God, they should have run away. If the throne of gods could deal with Long Chun, the net would be useless. If the throne of gods could not deal with Long Chun, their net would be useless. Perhaps they had lived in the rules of the Brahma lineage for too long. Their thinking had become rigid, and they did not know how to adapt. Without Long Chun's order, they were still foolishly trying their best to support the net. As a result, the dragon bone evil moon of Long Chun in white clothes, with the blessing of the white bone throne, instantly penetrated the giant net. The huge power radiated and the giant net collapsed instantly. The strong men of the Brahma lineage realized the danger and wanted to escape, but it was too late. More than 90% of the strong men were directly hit by the dragon bone evil moon and were shattered into powder. Boom! The dragon bone evil moon brought a shocking momentum and ruthlessly cut down, and the sky and the earth were separated by a knife. Boom! The earth exploded and waves of earth swept across the heavens and violent laws of power roared out. Puff, puff, puff. Those strong men who set up a net to trap Bai Long Chun were completely unlucky. They had no time to escape and were directly crushed. Before, Bai Long Chun broke the net of heaven and earth with a knife, and they survived with their powerful strength. However, they escaped the first wave but could not escape the second wave of impact, and were instantly annihilated by the huge waves of laws. Seeing this, the strong men in the distance were so scared that their faces turned pale and retreated one after another. Some strong men directly issued an alarm to the sect and ordered them to hold up the big formation. Boom, boom. The earth waves were mixed with powerful laws of power. After the void was crushed, it was full of broken cracks. Although everyone ran desperately, many people were still directly crushed to death. Some powerful people ran a distance and directly opened the strongest shield to withstand this attack. After all, they were not alone, and they could not just leave. Otherwise, the sect would suffer heavy losses. Fortunately, after they ran away for a distance, the earth wave weakened and barely withstood the attack. Return to the city, someone shouted, and ran directly back to the city where he was. This city was very close to the Brahma Holy Land. Fortunately, the man ordered the opening of the formation in advance, and the city was not affected. And returning to the city, you can directly open the peak formation. If it was before, they would definitely not dare to peek in this direction, but now that the Holy Land has been destroyed, there is nothing to worry about. Other strong men also ran to nearby cities and peeked at the battle in the formation. so at least there would be no worry about their lives. Boom, 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 boom. People had just hidden in the formation, and the earth kept exploding. Through the peak formation, they saw Long Chun in white holding the dragon bone evil moon. His figure was like lightning, killing Long Can and making him retreat again and again. At this time, Long Can was covered in blood and dust and looked extremely embarrassed. He was in a mess, carrying left and right. Obviously, in close combat, Long Can was no match for Long Chun. Long Chun was calm and his white clothes were spotless. Long Can tried to counterattack several times, but they were all resolved by Long Chun one by one, and he was always suppressed. Damn Lu Xing. He didn't show up at this time. He must be in seclusion. Long Can was suppressed by the white-clothed Long Chun, and couldn't even use his ultimate move. She was so angry that her lungs were about to explode. Long Chun seized an opportunity and didn't give her a chance to turn over. Under Long Chen's continuous attack, she couldn't even gather the power of the throne of God. If this continued, she would definitely lose. Snap! Long Can gritted his teeth and crushed a jade token. At the moment when the jade token was crushed, the 4 major gods received the news. Buzz! The void trembled and a ripple spread, instantly covering the entire battlefield. Even the throne power of Long Can and the white-clothed Long Chun was suppressed. This pressure. Could it be a powerful god emperor? People were shocked. Long Can was a half-step god emperor, and now she was blessed by the throne of God. Only a god emperor could overshadow her. The person who came was none other than the ancestor Baran, who had just come out of retreat from the 4 major god clans. At this time, he led a group of god clan leaders and appeared in the void. Long Chun. Jiang Yue and Feng Fei just appeared and saw the white-clothed Long Chun holding the dragon bone evil moon and killing Long Can in a mess. They actually guessed it right, but they couldn't understand. Shouldn't Long Chun return to the dragon clan? Why did he run here? Oh my god! The old generation of god clan masters all changed color, especially the 4 family heads. Almost all of them had been here. They couldn't imagine that this once glorious holy land had become a ruin and was completely destroyed. With a loud bang, Long Chun in white slashed Long Can away with a knife. He carried Long Gu Xieyu on his shoulder, squinted his eyes and looked at the god clan, saying lightly, "They actually invited a god emperor-level strongman. It seems that this war can only end here. Long Chun, you must die today." Long Can wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and shouted with gritted teeth, "Just you? If you don't have helpers, you can't even think of leaving alive." Long Chun in white was full of disdain and turned to look at ancestor Baran. "Are you here to support Long Can?" "Long Chun, this is." The head of the Long family was furious and was about to scold Long Chun, but was stopped by ancestor Baran. Ancestor Baran looked at Long Chun and said, "Who are you? Why are you attached to my Long family disciple? Your breath is definitely not a creature from the 9 heavens world." Ancestor Baran's words shocked countless strong men. This Long Chun in white was not the real Long Chun? No wonder it felt a little weird. "Your Long family disciple?" Long Chun in white shook his head and said, "Since Long Chun is your Long family disciple, why did your Long family go to such great lengths to put him to death? You come up and say these meaningless nonsense. I am Long Chun, but I am different from the coward you know. You don't have to think of any high-sounding excuses to attack me. Just do it if you want, as long as you can bear the consequences." "Threaten me?" Elder Baran said coldly. Long Chun in white looked into Elder Baran's eyes and said coldly, "What do you think? You occupied Long Chen's body, killed many of my god clan disciples, and dared to threaten me. Interesting, really interesting." Elder Baran's eyes turned cold. "Ancestor." Feng Fei was shocked, but as soon as she opened her mouth, the ancestor of the Jiang family stopped her and Jiang Yue, not allowing them to continue talking. Long Chun in white smiled, and slowly took off the dragon bone evil moon from his shoulder, saying lightly, "It's a pity that the idiot Long Can consumed a lot of my strength. Not only did I use up all the strength I replenished here, but I also consumed a lot of the power of the throne. Otherwise, I really want to try to see how strong a true god emperor can be." "What? Want to escape?" Do you think you can escape from a god emperor? Patriarch Baran snorted coldly. I want to leave and you can't stop me. Longchin in white said. Arrogant. Boom. As Patriarch Baran shouted coldly, the void exploded, and a body of 10,000 miles emerged, and the vast imperial power radiated. Bang, bang, bang. The endless city formations around were directly shattered. It was not that the formations were crushed, but that the power of the laws of this world was drawn away by the huge figure, and the formations could not support it. Law of heaven and earth. Someone shouted, and finally saw the legendary magical power that belonged exclusively to the God Emperor. This is the real law of heaven and earth. That huge figure is the Dharmakaya of Patriarch Baran. In front of that Dharmakaya, the power of the throne seems so small. This is the God Emperor who truly masters the power of the law. Just as Bai Longchun said before, this is the difference between quantity and quality. Although Tsonglu also used the law of heaven and earth on the battlefield of the heaven realm, the difference between the two is simply worlds apart. Suppress! Patriarch Baran shouted, opened his big hand, and grabbed by Longchun. The moment the big hand grabbed, the sky and the earth roared, and endless law runes flew, filling the entire world. At this moment, Longchun in white was like a sparrow caught in a net, with no way to go up to the sky or down to the earth. Ha! However, facing the attack of Patriarch Baran, Longchun in white smiled slightly, formed a seal with one hand, and his eyes suddenly opened. Eye of Purgatory! Suddenly, a pair of dark eyes appeared behind the powerful god clan, like the eyes of a demon. Buzz! As the huge eyes appeared, a huge vortex instantly swallowed up all the powerful god clan. In front of the eyes, everyone lost the power to resist and was directly dragged into the vortex. The powerful god clan screamed in fear. They didn't expect that Longchin actually had this trick to sneak attack them from behind. Looking for death. Patriarch Baran didn't expect that Longchin in white had this trick and hurriedly retracted his giant hand and slapped the huge vortex. Puff! The vortex exploded and the huge eyes disappeared. Although they were not swallowed, the gods spit out blood at the same time and their heads were aching like needles. They felt that part of their souls were sucked away by the vortex. Although they escaped the fate of death, their faces were as pale as paper, and their eyes were full of fear. Swish! However, at this moment, the dragon-bone evil moon cut through the sky, and the arrogant voice of the white-clothed Longchun came. Old man, the cause and effect of today has been planted. The next time you see this white dress, it will be the time for you to go to hell. Boom! The big hand of the old ancestor Baran slapped it hard, and a big hole was pierced through the void. But the white-clothed Longchun had disappeared without a trace. Escaped! No one expected that the God Emperor was born, and under the blockade of the law of heaven and earth, the white-clothed Longchun broke the cage with a casual blow and left calmly. The kind of unrestrained and casual attitude of having everything under control made countless people scalp numb. Even a strong man like the God Emperor could not stop him. You can't even stop this little beast, you are such a waste. Longcan's face was as gloomy as water and he gritted his teeth. Hearing Longcan's words, the faces of the strong men of the Long family changed drastically. Longcan's words were too much. He actually put the blame for the escape of Bai Longchun on the old ancestor Baran. You know, at that time, Bai Longchun used the Eye of Purgatory and performed the supreme pupil technique. If the old ancestor Baran had not come to rescue them in time, all of them would have died. It was precisely because of this that Bai Longchun seized the opportunity to escape. But the gods came to support them. It would have been fine if Longcan didn't appreciate it, but he actually blamed the old ancestor Baran. However, while the strong men of the four gods were extremely angry, the four family heads lowered their heads and said nothing. At this time, their faces were a little weird, and they didn't want others to see their expressions. It is rumored that Longcan was born in the Long family of the God clan and is an old acquaintance of Yi Baran of the Yi family. And I heard that. It seems that this may be true. Some people in some ancient cities began to gossip. After all, there are some old guys at the level of living fossils in these ancient cities, and they still know a little about some secrets. Ancestor Baran was scolded by Longcan and a trace of displeasure appeared on his face, but he didn't want to get entangled in this matter, so he changed the subject and said, "This Longchin has a strange aura and possesses the law of purgatory. It is very likely that he came from the underworld. I wonder if Lord Shinhui has any good ideas." The so-called good ideas, in plain words, mean, this guy killed so many of you and destroyed your holy land. What are you going to do? Long Chun also killed countless disciples of your 4 major god clan. You knew that I would not easily ask you for help, but you did not bring the Jili Tower to suppress Long Chun. Now that he has run away, you still have the face to ask me what my good ideas are. Long Can sneered. Baran couldn't help but frown. Even though Long Can had left the god clan and became one of the 8 gods of Brahma, this shrew's character had never changed. I'm helping you out of favors and not helping you is my duty. What you said is really offensive. However, Baran was proud of his status and didn't want to argue with her, which would only make countless people laugh at him. Baran said, "My disciples of the God clan have already reported that Long Chun wanted to lead the evil demons from the Juyan land to the 9 heavens world in the heavenly domain battlefield, causing a catastrophe of world destruction. In the end, he was besieged by various forces. Long Chun, who lost the Kuan Ding, should have died without a burial place. But he was possessed by this monster, killed countless strong men, and finally returned to the 9 heavens world. I just didn't expect that he would appear in the Brahma Holy Land. It was indeed my carelessness. If I used the power of the 9-Li Tower, Long Chin, the evil demon, would never be able to escape." Hearing Baran's words, Zhang Yue and Feng Fei looked ashen. They clearly told Baran the whole story, but they didn't expect that Baran still insisted that it was Long Chin who wanted to lead the evil demons from the Juyan land to the 9 heavens world. The two looked at each other and saw the helplessness and despair in each other's hearts. At the same time, they finally understood one thing. It's not that the top leaders are stupid, but that they know everything. From the conversation between Long Can and Baran, it can be heard that there must be some unspeakable secrets between Long Can and the top leaders of the God clan. They finally understood why the God clan had many opportunities to make peace with Long Chen, but they missed them and eventually became incompatible. The emotional problem lies with the Brahma lineage. Long Chen is the mortal enemy of the Brahma lineage. The God clan and the Brahma lineage are superficially indifferent, but in fact what they are like behind the scenes is now clear at a glance. Jiang Yue and Feng Fei suddenly laughed, and laughed very sadly. Now it seems that their efforts are so absurd and ridiculous. Their earnest advice and their foresight are actually a big joke. After the two laughed, they were completely relieved. At this moment, they had completely given up struggling, and after giving up, they felt unprecedented relief. So what if the little beast escaped? We have spies everywhere in the 9 heavens world. Where can he escape to? Besides, isn't it easy to force him to show up? We know everything about his parents. Long Can gritted his teeth and said. Baran frowned. This trick is useless to Long Chin because the current Long Chin is not the same Long Chin as before. Someone tried it in the heavenly domain battlefield, but it didn't work. So many strong men of the Brahma lineage were killed in the heavenly domain battlefield, and so many disciples of the Brahma lineage's allies were slaughtered. Now the Holy Land has been destroyed, the statues have collapsed, and the faith pond has been completely destroyed. This matter is too big to be concealed, and it can't be calmed down by hard work. You'd better report it honestly to the Brahma god. Don't worry about it. I, Long Can, don't need you to teach me how to do things. Long Can roared. Baran nodded and said, In that case, when the Brahma lineage has any plans, come and talk to our god clan. Although Long Chun has caused a huge disaster, he is after all a disciple of my god clan. It is our god clan's responsibility to clean up the mess and give an explanation to the 9 heavens world. Goodbye. Baran ignored Long Can, who was like a shrew. With a wave of his hand, all the God clan strongmen disappeared in an instant, leaving only Long Can, who was gritting his teeth. Long Can looked at the wounds all over the ground. She gradually calmed down and felt a chill. As Baran said, this time the commotion was too big. It was impossible to hide it from the great Brahma. Damn Lu Xing. It's all because you didn't come to support it that it became like this. Long Can gritted her teeth. She hated Lu Xing, but she had to see Lu Xing at this time. After all, even if she had to report to the great Brahma, she had to drag someone down with her. Ha! Longchen took another look at the destroyed Holy Land and slowly disappeared with his tired body. As Longchen disappeared, countless powerful men surged over from all directions like a tide, feeling the power of the laws that destroyed the world on the battlefield. The news that the Brahma Holy Land was destroyed and that the white-clothed Dragon Chun fought against the divine banner Longchen quickly spread to the 9 heavens. Plop! Shuiying, Aogu, and hundreds of 9 stars knelt down in the hall. The hall was dark and gloomy, and the silence was a little scary. There were thousands of masters in the hall, standing in 2 rows, but no one said a word. In these 2 rows of masters there were men and women, old and young, masters of the old generation and young geniuses. And the young geniuses standing in the hall, none of them had a weaker aura than Shuiying. These young geniuses looked at Shuiying and others who were kneeling on the ground like prisoners, with pale faces, and their eyes were full of ridicule and disdain. With millions of 9-star elite disciples and 3 top-level geniuses leading the team, we didn't expect you to sweep the battlefield of the heavenly domain. At least you should bring back all the disciples of the first demon clan in the battlefield of the heavenly domain, right? And you, millions of elite disciples, only a few of you came back, and you brought back more than 3,000 disciples of the first demon clan, and they are guys with low cultivation and extremely poor talent. Tell me, do you deserve the cultivation of the son of the Star Lord? Above the hall, an old man had a star ring lingering behind his head. His breath was shocking, and the endless power of the law was rising. He was actually a god emperor-level strongman like Yi Baran. And the old man's breath was more vast and violent than Yi Baran's. His voice was like rolling thunder, stirring back and forth in the hall. If Longchen was here, he would recognize at a glance that this old man was the one guarding the Star-Lord Hall. After Longchen killed Bing Yi, he used Bing Yi's soul as a medium and the power of Kuan Ding to enter the Star Hall. As a result, he was caught by this terrifying old man before he could find anything. In a hurry, Longchen used both bluffing and deception to get the man to believe that he was from Bing Yi's lineage. Before he ran away, he slapped him in the face. What Longchen didn't know was that the old man was actually a powerful divine emperor. At this moment, Shuiying's face was ashen. This time, she knew that she could not escape death, and she could not say a word. Although Bing Yi was dead, she was not the one who killed her, but they were competitors in normal times. Now, the 9 stars lineage suffered heavy losses, and she could not escape the blame. This old man would definitely not let her go. Aogu had long lost his arrogance at this time. He was so scared that he was about to paralyze. He shouted loudly, "Master Xingwei, it's none of my business. I have always obeyed orders and honestly stayed where I was to guard the people of the Shur-Mo clan." "Shut up. I said before I left that although you are divided into 3 teams, you are a whole. You will prosper together and suffer together." The lives of millions of elite disciples were exchanged for more than 3,000 Shur-Mo clan trash. "You are to blame for your death." The white-haired old man shouted angrily. The white-haired old man was furious, and Aogu was in despair. It seemed that he could not escape and had to die with Shuiying. "Master Xingwei, the matter of the Tianyu battlefield was indeed the responsibility of Shuiying and others, and the crime was unforgivable. However, the man named Longchen, a wandering descendant of the 9 stars, was able to gain the favor of Kuan Ding and recognize him as his master. This matter may be a bit strange. From the confessions of Shuiying and others, that Longchen not only had the protection of Kuan Ding, but also had a sword with an amazing origin. Moreover, the green parrot, I don't know what level of demon beast it is, but it can actually compete with the chaos artifact. There are many strange things in it, and we need to think about it carefully. An old man in the hall said. This old man, standing in the front row of the hall, also had an amazing aura. Although not as good as that of Master Xingwei, his aura was much stronger than Longchen. He should also be a half-step god emperor. That's right. In addition to the Heaven Realm battlefield, there are 17 other connecting channels between the Chaos world and the 9 Heavens world, and wars have also broken out there. However, our 9 stars lineage performed very well and gained a lot, enough to make up for the losses on the Heaven Realm battlefield. We also encountered many powerful beings in the connecting channels, and also obtained a lot of information about the 9 Heavens world from the strong men in these channels, most of which was about Longchen. This Long Chun is definitely not an ordinary person. Now that the battlefield of the heaven realm has collapsed, a chain reaction has formed. Originally, among the 18 channels, the other channels were all secret channels. Under the influence of the battlefield of the heaven realm, they will gradually become open channels. In this way, the speed of connecting the 9 heavens world and the chaos world will be much faster. Moreover, according to the information collected by the children, some strong men in the 9 heavens world have found cracks in the space countercurrent in the channel and have entered the chaos world. The pace of our 9 stars lineage's rise should be accelerated, otherwise, if we lose the first opportunity, we will fall behind others everywhere. Another old man stood up and said, "That's right, the star disk in the Star-Lord Hall began to rotate, which means that some of the wandering descendants in the 9 heavens world have entered the chaos world under the call of the star disk. The chaos world is too big, the star field is crisscrossed, and it is endlessly dangerous. We need to find a way to guide them. Although the wandering descendants are not strong, they are as numerous as the sea. They are the foundation of our 9 stars lineage's rise. We must be prepared to lead them." Other powerful men also followed suit. Although the Tianyu battlefield was defeated and several million disciples were lost, the Tianyu battlefield was only one of the 18 channels. This loss was nothing for the entire 9 stars lineage. There is no point in dwelling on such mistakes. The key is how to make the next deployment. Blood Shadow and others have poor leadership and command errors. They have killed so many people. They must be executed, otherwise they will not be able to convince the public. A young disciple stood up and said, "That's right. Blood Shadow is usually arrogant and self-proclaimed to be unparalleled in wisdom. It was her arrogance that led to her failure." So many disciples have died tragically, and the dignity of the 9 stars lineage has been ruthlessly trampled upon. Are we still the strongest warriors in the 9 heavens and 10 earths? For this kind of crime, there is no choice but to execute them. There is no need to waste time discussing them. At this time, the younger generation of disciples started to make a noise, looking like they wished that Blood Shadow would die immediately. Everyone's face was full of gloating, without a trace of sympathy. The reason why these people were like this was that, on the one hand, the competition among the top-level descendants of the heavenly rank was very fierce. Because the 9 stars lineage today is following the divine way of inheritance, only the strong ones standing on the top of the tower will be qualified to be worthy of the throne in the future. On the other hand, although Blood Shadow's strength is not the strongest here, she is quick-witted and wise, and is the only one who has been praised by the son of the Star-Lord. Because of this, many people are jealous. Now that Blood Shadow has failed, it is the best opportunity to get rid of her. The young generation of strong men started to make a noise, while the old generation of strong men were thinking about how to carry out the next plan, and had no intention of studying how to deal with Blood Shadow and others. Moreover, the losses in the heavenly domain battlefield this time were too serious, and there was no room for mercy. The Star Guard waved his hand. "In this case, throw them all into the star burial ground." Countless star chains stretched out from the void, tied up Blood Shadow and others, and dragged them into the darkness like a dead dog. "No!" Aogu and the others cried unwillingly. Buzz! At this moment, the endless chains exploded, and Shui-Ing and the others flew out of the endless darkness and landed in the hall again. "Forget it. Give them a chance to make up for their mistakes." At this moment, a cold and majestic voice came. Hearing that voice, the Star Guards hurriedly got down from their seats and bowed. "Meet the son of the Star-Lord. Give them a year. If they can't make up for this loss, they will be killed without mercy." The voice came again. "Thank you, Star-Lord." Aogu and the others kowtowed like crazy, but Shui-Ing lay on the ground, touching the cold floor tiles. No one knew what she was thinking. This Long Chin is very unusual. He was able to use Bing Yi's soul mark to go back through time and space and come to the Star-Lord's hall to get a glimpse of my 9 stars secret. The voice of the Star-Lord's son continued to echo in the hall. At this time, the Star Guard's face changed and he lowered his head in a hurry. It seemed that all this could not be hidden from the Star-Lord's son. In other words, the Star-Lord's son also knew about the scene where he was slapped. Fortunately, the son of the Star-Lord gave him face and did not mention that matter. He continued, Long Chen's star power and star phenomena are completely different from our orthodox 9 stars lineage. He has embarked on another path. However, the 9-star Hegemon body art is a perfect magic skill created by my father with all his life's efforts. How could it be modified by others? I already know everything in the heavenly domain battlefield. Although Long Chen has the protection of Kuan Ding, he wants to perfect his star method through nirvana. But his star power is chaotic. He copied and reproduced various star maps at once. He didn't know what each star map represented, let alone the changes in power after the star maps were superimposed. This road is simply not feasible. Moreover, his nirvana was interrupted. His stargate frame was extremely unstable, and the star power repelled each other and could not be fused. If he didn't force the fusion, it would be fine. His path of cultivation would end here. If he continued to merge, he would be blown up by the star power. Even if my father was resurrected, he couldn't save him. Humph, this damned beast, knowing that he is the descendant of the 9 stars. But he refused to surrender, and even slaughtered our people. He deserved to die. He snorted coldly. For a wandering descendant of the 9 stars lineage to have such a person is an anomaly. If he can be used by us, Lord Star-Lord's son, can you guide him to the right path? An old man sighed and said, cherishing his talent. As soon as the old man spoke, the faces of the others changed. Long Chen had killed so many people, was he going to absorb him in? The Star-Lord's son said indifferently, it's useless. Long Chen has been on the wrong path since a long time ago. If I'm not mistaken, it should be when he discovered the defects of the star battle body when he was in the 5-star battle body. He was so smart that he forcibly changed the direction of cultivation. As the lowest-level descendant among the yellow-level descendants, the skills inherited in the soul memory of the wandering heir are not only of low level but also incomplete. When they awakened the 5-star battle body, the defects were extremely obvious, but if they continued to practice, they would be supplemented at the 7th star. And Long Chen started to go astray when he was at the 5th star. Now the 8 stars and the 8-star gates are fused. Not only are they inappropriate, but there is no turning back. Hearing what the Star-Lord's son said, the old man couldn't help but sigh. This was equivalent to a death sentence. Even the Star-Lord's son couldn't do anything about it, so there was really nothing he could do. However, the power of Long Chen's Stargate is indeed terrifying, and it can almost sweep across the entire battlefield of the heavenly domain. The old man sighed. The son of the Star-Lord said, there are still some evil-level existences on the heavenly domain battlefield. While Long Chen was sweeping the battlefield, they were making a fortune in silence. Especially under the Juyan land, the treasure house that the Dark Clan has managed for hundreds of millions of years was emptied because of a man named Mo Nian who awakened and led away the evil demons they cultivated. In fact, there is no winner among those who participated in the battle on the heavenly domain battlefield, and those guys all got the advantage. You know it so clearly. Everyone was shocked. The son of the Star-Lord said, Long Chen used Bing Yi's soul through the power of Kuan Ding to reverse time and space and came to the Star-Lord's hall. I used the power of cause and effect to trace the source and directly entered the Heavenly Realm battlefield. Although the Heavenly Realm battlefield has been destroyed, I have learned about the whole process by tracing back the cause and effect. However, having said that, the son of the Star-Lord paused and said, but on the Heavenly Realm battlefield, there is a mysterious person. The cause and effect she is involved in has blocked me. What? Everyone was shocked. The son of the Star-Lord has great magical powers. He can trace back the cause and effect and trace back the entire Heavenly Realm battlefield. What an amazing method this is. Someone can actually exhaust the investigation of the son of the Star-Lord. The roads that person has traveled and the people he has come into contact with have interfered with my investigation. I can only roughly sense that she is a woman, and as for the rest, I cannot investigate. You don't have to worry about Long Chen. He has killed so many people on the battlefield of the Heaven Realm. The revenge of the strong men from the 9 heavens world alone is not something he can handle. Although he has a soul of unknown origin, that mysterious soul may not be able to adapt to the laws of the 9 heavens world. Without the protection of Kuan Ding, The wisest thing for Longchen to do is to find a place to hide. However, as long as he breaks through the realm, he needs to condense the laws of the stars. If he condenses the laws of the stars, he will definitely die. So, Longchen, you can treat him as a dead person and ignore him. You can find a way to find that mysterious woman for me. This is the top priority. Yes. Many old men hurriedly agreed. Ha! The vast star power disappeared, which meant that the son of the Star Master ended the conversation with them.
Master Xingwei, how should we find that woman?
Please give us your instructions, someone said.
The Star Guard almost vomited blood. How could I know how to find it?
Even a powerful person like the Star Lord's son was blocked. What instructions could I give? But in the 9 stars, the powerful people at the level of the God Emperor were all asleep. He was the only one awake. Naturally, he had to take on this burden. However, he was also in a dilemma. But this was a task assigned by the Star Lord's son, and he didn't dare to shirk it.
Suddenly, he saw Blood Shadow lying on the ground, staring at the floor tiles in a daze, and shouted coldly.
Blood Shadow, you have caused a huge disaster. It is the Star Lord's son who cherishes your talent and spares your life. Now is the best time for you to make meritorious contributions. Don't you want to say something? Blood Shadow, among the many descendants of the heavenly rank, has always been known for her wisdom. In fact, this time, the reason why Blood Shadow fell down had nothing to do with wisdom, but was completely because of bad luck.
Because no matter who was in her position at that time, the result would be the same. No, it should be worse, and even life would be lost.
Therefore, Shuiying always felt that she was wronged. She was always cautious and kept watching from the side. Once she found an opportunity, she would immediately take action. Once she found something wrong, she would immediately withdraw. However, no matter how careful she was, it was useless. There was no one in this world who could stop the tricks of Longchen and Nian.
However, lying on the cold floor, like a prisoner who was to be executed at any time, reminded her of her former glory, her former vigor and spirit, and her former popularity.
But now, in the entire hall, even those strong men who usually showed their true feelings to her and treated her as their own daughter, no one pleaded for her. Those pursuers who flattered her and even secretly swore blood oaths to be loyal to her forever, now were like hungry wolves, wanting to kill her. At that moment, she suddenly thought of Longchen, the Dragon Blood Legion, and those people who knew they could not defeat Longchen but still risked their lives and refused to retreat a step in order to protect him.
At the same time, she also remembered that Longchen could also put life and death aside in order to protect these people. Even before being possessed by the mysterious soul, he still wanted the mysterious parrot to protect everyone and leave.
At this moment, she suddenly envied this kind of emotion. Just when she was in a daze, she heard the cold shout of the Star Guard.
She slowly stood up, turned around, and walked out of the hall, looking for death.
Seeing that Blood Shadow dared to ignore him, the Star Guard was furious. Blood Shadow stopped without looking back and said coldly, I want to take a break now and impact the Emperor realm. Notify me of all places in the star field. As long as it is the resources I need, I can use them. Everyone was stunned. Blood Shadow, who had just escaped from death, was crazy and dared to talk to the Star Guard like this. In return, I will help you with the matter of that woman. After that, Blood Shadow's graceful figure slowly disappeared from everyone's sight. Whoosh! The void split open, and the figure of Longchen in white emerged from the void.
At this time, Longchen in white had a slight trace of fatigue on his face, but his white clothes were still spotless.
Xiaoyu, I know you can hear me, you also know who I am, and you know that in this world, we are the most suitable. Longchen in white said. However, Longu Xiaoyu was behind Longchen in white, not saying a word. Longchen in white continued. Only in my hands can your power be maximized, and only in my hands can you regain your former glory at the fastest speed.
I let you complete the last step and enter the second form, but why are you unwilling to help me with all your strength? Longchen in white found that Longu Xiaoyu, after entering the second form, was extremely sharp. Even if he used the power of the throne, Longu Xiaoyu could still easily bear it. But Longchen in white found that Xiaoyu had never communicated with it on a soul level, and was even unwilling to use his own power to cooperate with him. If Xiaoyu was willing to fight with him, Bai Longqin would definitely try Yu Baran's strength. He wanted to challenge how strong the God Emperor was. But Xiaoyu's attitude made him dare not attack Yi Baran rashly, lest he had no way out. He was a little confused. It was he who used the fire of hell to extract the power of countless blood souls on the battlefield, helping Xiaoyu break through the shackles and advance to the second form. But Xiaoyu did not show any excitement, nor did he express any gratitude to him. At this time, Xiaoyu was extremely indifferent to him. Just now, when the void was torn apart, if Xiaoyu was willing to use a little of his own original power, Bai Longqin would be much easier and would not consume so much. Because you are not him. Xiaoyu spoke. Of course I am not him. I am stronger than him and more suitable for you than him. I am your best choice. Bai Longqin said. No, he is my best choice. Xiaoyu said. He? A piece of trash who can't help you advance to the second form. Is he your best choice? Not only is he a piece of trash, but he also brings a bunch of trash with him. If it weren't for me, all of them would have died on the battlefield of the heaven realm. Cows and sheep travel in herds, while beasts travel alone. Only the weak need to travel in groups, while the strong are always alone. He doesn't even understand this. He is so stupid. Bai Longqin sneered and continued. Xiaoyu, although I don't know your past, I have a hunch that you definitely have an amazing origin. Believe me, join forces with me, and no one in the future 9 heavens and 10 earths will be our opponent. I believe it, Xiaoyu said. Hearing Xiaoyu's words, Bai Longqin's face showed a smile. So, you agree to join forces with me? No, Xiaoyu said. You. Bai Longqin's face was filled with anger, but before he could speak, Xiaoyu spoke first. Although my strength has not recovered and my memory has not been retrieved, I know that I should be the same as you. If I were to meet you now, I would not reject you, but now you are indeed not my best choice. Why? Bai Longqin said coldly. You said so much, just to ask me to help you conquer the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Because in your eyes, I am just a tool to conquer the world. Xiaoyu said. It's cooperation. Bai Longqin corrected. Have ulterior motives? Mutual use? The kind of cooperation where the bow is hidden after the bird is dead. Xiaoyu said coldly. Before Longqin and White could speak, Xiaoyu continued. Do you know that both are supreme artifacts? But Qianding made Qianjie a slave, while Kuanding recognized Longqin as its master? Longqin in White was stunned for a moment. Why? Because Qianding is as ambitious as you, and doesn't trust anyone except himself. And Kuanding recognized Longqin as its master. I couldn't understand it at first, it was simply an insult. Until one day I understood that humans have an emotion called trust, which is an emotion that allows you to entrust your life to the other person without hesitation. You said that we are compatible with each other, so let me ask you, if one day I am in trouble, will you use your life to save me? This? Longqin in White was stunned. He will. Xiaoyu said without hesitation, perhaps this is stupidity in your eyes, but it is precisely because of this stupidity that Kuanding and I are willing to recognize him as our master. Longqin has violated Kuanding's ideas countless times, done many stupid things, and caused endless troubles. But it was these brainless, stupid, and idiotic actions that completely conquered Kuanding and me. On the battlefield of the heavenly realm, Kuanding had a chance to escape, but for Longqin it chose to merge with Qianding. It took the opportunity to steal the power of Qian Kuan and help Longqin complete the final nirvana. Although it failed, it left the last tenderness to Longqin. Kuanding and I learned from Longqin. Many things. We are no longer simple weapons, but we have learned something called emotion from Longqin. We don't have flesh and blood, but we can feel the warmth of people's hearts. We don't have souls, but we can feel the joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness of others. We no longer simply use right, wrong, gain, and loss to measure whether something should be done or not. I even feel that I seem to have a heart, and my heart will tell me what is right. From the perspective of future interests, there is no doubt that you are my most correct choice, but my heart tells me that it is wrong. White-clothed Longqin was silent for a moment. He didn't expect that Xiaoyu would say such profound words. He didn't expect that the things he was proud of were not taken seriously by Xiaoyu. Instead, it was that stupid,
reckless guy who would go crazy from time to time and was full of shortcomings that made Xiaoyu so devoted. Seeing that white-clothed Long Chun was silent, Xiaoyu continued, "In fact, there is a chance for cooperation between us."
"How do you say it?" White-clothed Long Chun asked. "When one day you can give up your wisdom and become as stupid as Long Chun, it is possible," Xiaoyu said.
"That's impossible." Bai Long Chun shook his head. He instantly heard the hidden meaning of Xiaoyu and refused directly. Who? At this moment, the void trembled slightly, and the seven-colored divine light passed through the void, like a rainbow dancing.
Looking carefully, it turned out to be a group of beautiful seven-colored cranes flying in the air. As they danced, their wings drew beautiful arcs. The graceful posture made by Long Chun stunned for a moment. The cranes danced and the auspicious aura rose. The whole world seemed to be purified. Even the anger and unwillingness after being rejected by Xiaoyu just now were diluted by the auspicious aura and finally disappeared without a trace.
"Brother Long Chun." Suddenly, one of the cranes in the group made a cry full of surprise, and then swooped down and transformed in the void. A little girl who looked about 11 or 12 years old, delicate and beautiful, appeared in front of Bai Long Chun with a look of surprise. The little girl was wearing colorful clothes with beautiful cheeks, as if carved from jade, and a pair of big eyes, like pure gems, and the whole person was so beautiful that it seemed unreal. The moment she appeared, the surrounding mountains and rivers seemed to have turned into a beautiful painting, and there was an endless flow of auspicious air, and the ordinary scenery instantly turned into a fairyland. The beautiful girl was none other than Xiao He, who had been away for a long time. When she saw Long Chun, her pretty face was full of disbelief. She came to Long Chun and opened her arms. If it was normal, Long Chun would definitely hug her. But when Long Chun in white saw Xiao He, he was stunned for a while. "Brother Long Chun, what's wrong with you?"
"Don't you remember Xiao He?" Xiao He opened her big watery eyes with a hint of confusion in her eyes.
I think you recognized the wrong person. I'm not him." For some reason, Long Chun in white didn't dare to look Xiao He in the eye.
On the battlefield of the heaven realm, he killed countless creatures with his sword, fought against the cauldron of heaven and earth, and even faced Yu Baran, a powerful god emperor, calmly, but for some reason he was a little afraid to look into Xiao He's eyes.
"I won't recognize the wrong person, Brother Long Chun. Don't you want Xiao He? Is it because I've been sleeping all the time that you start to hate Xiao He?"
"But if Xiao He doesn't sleep, she will never grow up." Xiao He raised her hands in the air with a look of grievance on her face, and her big eyes were already full of mist.
Even though Long Chun in white clothes had a heart as hard as stone, he couldn't help but feel a little helpless when he saw Xiao He like this. Seeing that Xiao He was about to cry, he gritted his teeth, stretched out his hands, and hugged Xiao He. "I knew that Brother Long Chun would not abandon Xiao He. Brother Long Chun promised me that he would marry me when I grow up." Being held in Long Chun's arms, Xiao He burst into tears and laughed. When Long Chun in white clothes first hugged Xiao He, his nerves were tense, and goosebumps appeared on the back of his neck. But when Xiao He hugged his neck intimately, a peaceful breath instantly wiped out all his unnaturalness. "Actually, I'm not Long Chun." Long Chun in white clothes tried to explain. "Brother Long Chun can't fool me. You are Brother Long Chun. Although your clothes have changed, your breath has changed, and your soul fluctuations have changed, you are Brother Long Chun," Xiao He said with a smile. Long Chun in white clothes was stunned, and then asked, "Then how did you determine that I was him?"
Xiao He tilted her head and said, "I don't know, it's a feeling, I can't explain it clearly."
Who? At this time, the other seven-colored cranes began to circle in the void, drawing auspicious rainbows in the void, apparently urging Xiao He. "Brother Long Chun, I'm going to follow my brothers and sisters to repair the cracks in the sky. Can you come with me?" Xiao He came down from Long Chen's arms and took Long Chen's big hand.
Long Chen in white wanted to communicate with Xiaoyu. He really hoped to persuade Xiaoyu to help him, otherwise he would not be able to stay in the Nine Heavens world for a long time. He wanted to refuse Xiao He, but when he saw Xiao He's eyes full of expectations, he could not refuse and finally nodded.
"Yeah. I knew that Brother Long Chun is the best to me." Xiao He was very excited and pulled Long Chun to catch up with the group of colorful cranes. The group of colorful cranes were flying in front, and the auspicious air behind them wrapped Long Chun and Xiao He and flew forward together. Wrapped in the auspicious air, watching the graceful posture of the colorful cranes flying, feeling the warmth of Xiao He in his palms. At that moment, Long Chun in White's head was blank, quietly looking at everything in front of him, looking so comfortable and peaceful. Brother Long Chun. Xiao He gently patted Long Chun's arm and motioned Long Chun to sit down. When Long Chun sat cross-legged, Xiao He just sat on Long Chun's legs, with her little head in Long Chun's arms, with a satisfied smile on her face. It will take some time to travel. I'll sleep for a while. The more I sleep, the bigger I can grow. Long Chun in White was stunned. Xiao He actually slept as soon as she said she would and soon fell asleep in Long Chun's arms. Long Chun in White felt like he was in a dream. He couldn't imagine that someone could fall asleep in his arms when he had blood on his hands and was regarded as a peerless demon by countless people. Who am I? Long Chun in White looked into the distance and a hint of confusion flashed in his black eyes. When he took control of this body, he came to the world in an invincible manner, turning the battlefield into purgatory and dyeing the sky red with blood. However, after the killing, a wave of loneliness surged into his heart, breaking free from the shackles of purgatory. He came to the Nine Heavens world, but in the huge Nine Heavens world, he still felt endless loneliness. Xiaoyu's rejection made him feel a little frustrated. The world was so big, but it seemed that everything here did not belong to him. However, at this moment, Xiao He appeared, as if she was the only person in the world who recognized him. Looking at the sleeping Xiao He, her long eyelashes were still trembling slightly, as if she was dreaming at this moment, and the corners of her mouth were slightly curved in a beautiful arc. It seemed that her dream should be a beautiful dream. Look, it's a seven-colored crane. My God, we actually saw a seven-colored crane. Suddenly, countless people in front exclaimed. Among the mountains in front, there is a human clan. The appearance of the seven-colored crane immediately made the whole clan exclaim, and some people ran to tell each other, attracting countless figures to watch. Oh my God, it actually came to us and flew over our clan. Does this mean that our Qingwei sect is about to rise? A disciple shouted excitedly. As the disciple shouted, the team of seven-colored cranes just flew over the sky above the sect, and the auspicious aura instantly poured into the sect. Buzz buzz buzz. The sect's formation kept shaking. With the sect as the core, the surrounding mountains glowed and extended rapidly. The revival of luck? White-clothed Long Chun was slightly startled. This scene looked very shocking, and he couldn't understand the mystery in it. However, this vision was fleeting. This vision could only be seen in the void. The people below had no idea. They kept waving at the seven-colored cranes. Oh my God! That's Lord Long Chun. When the seven-colored cranes flew over, someone saw the white-clothed Long Chun behind them and shouted excitedly. Lord Long Chun. This group of people were even more excited to see Long Chun than the seven-colored cranes, and they waved their hands and shouted. If it weren't for the sect's strong men scolding them and not allowing them to take off in order to avoid disturbing the seven-colored cranes, they would have rushed out. I didn't expect that there would be people who welcomed him, white-clothed Long Chun said lightly. Long Chun once launched a city massacre war, attracting the hatred of those alien races to himself, and these small sects and factions were saved from destruction. Xiaoyu said, looking at those excited disciples yelling and shouting. Their admiration for Long Chun was beyond words. Bai Yi Long Chun snorted coldly. Boring. It's indeed a bit boring. But if Long Chun is in trouble, this group of boring people will fearlessly protect Long Chun. Xiaoyu said lightly. Ants are ants after all. It's useless to raise more. Instead of wasting time, it's better to work hard to improve yourself. Bai Yi Long Chun sneered. Yes, I think so too. Xiaoyu agreed with Bai Yi Long Chun's point of view. However, Long Chun said that he was an ant step by step. No one knows whether the next Long Chun will come out of this group of ants. Xiaoyu's words made Bai Yi Long Chun silent because he could not refute this sentence. In the eyes of the strong in the fairy world, the former Long Chun was not even an ant, let alone dust. Xiaoyu, what do you want in exchange for joining forces with me? After a long silence, Bai Yi Long Chun finally asked the most crucial question.
I can join forces with you, but you need to find something. Xiaoyu pondered for a moment. What are you looking for? Bai Longchen asked. I don't know what it is either. Xiaoyu said. Are you kidding me? Bai Longchen's face was filled with anger. You only need to find something in this world that you would rather sacrifice your life to protect, and I will be willing to submit to you. Xiaoyu said word by word. What is that? Bai Longchen frowned. However, Xiaoyu stopped talking, letting Bai Longchen think for himself. Darkness, endless darkness. On a cold throne, Longchen sat quietly on the throne in a daze. First, Longchen couldn't see anything. It was too dark here. I don't know how long it took, or whether the light became brighter or Longchen adapted to it. He saw a bloody ocean around him. And below him was an isolated island of billions of miles, an isolated island made up of endless corpses. The top of the lonely island was the bone throne. Longchen sat alone on the throne, surrounded by endless darkness and a pungent smell of blood. It was quiet, extremely quiet, as if there was no sound in this world at all. Longchen couldn't even hear his own heartbeat. Switch positions? Longchen stroked the bone throne with his big hand and couldn't help but smile bitterly. He knew where this was. He had used the Eye of Purgatory to peek here, and he also used him to kill the Chaos Dragon Emperor's inner demon Zhu Yin. Retribution came quickly. He didn't dare to use the Eye of Purgatory in the battlefield of the Heaven Realm, but he was still dragged here by the inner demon. Longchen smiled, and suddenly he remembered the scene when he was locked up in a small dark room by Yu Qingxuan's father. It was also at that time that Longchen had his first face-to-face communication with the inner demon. Now it's my turn to go to jail again. Longchen leaned lazily on the throne as if being locked up here was not that uncomfortable. Before he was devoured, he gave everything to Lu Laolu. That was the trump card that Kuan Ding left for him. He believed that Lu Laolu would be able to protect them. As for those enemies, Longchen believed that the inner demon would never let them have an easy time. Now, he wanted to take the opportunity to practice, quickly perfect the flaws left by Nirvana, and find a chance to take back his body. Suddenly, a voice clearly came into Longchen's ears. Great Nine Stars Descendant, the world channel has appeared. You must quickly enter the chaotic world. The inheritance of the Star-Lord Hall has been opened and the highest divine arts of the 9 stars are waiting for you to inherit. That familiar voice appeared again. In this dark world, the voice was extremely clear and went straight into the soul. Hearing that voice, Longchen's eyes turned cold and he shouted sternly. Are you going to accept the inheritance of the 9 stars, or accept the enslavement of the son of the Star-Lord? Buzz. However, with Longchen's shout, the power of the entire dark world erupted and the sea of blood collapsed like a tsunami. Suddenly, the void in front of him split open, and a huge compass was sucked in by the dark power here and appeared in front of Longchen. Longchen was also shocked. He didn't expect that he just yelled casually and the power of heaven and earth here would explode instantly. At that moment, he was the master of this world. His words were followed by laws. In this dark world, no one could go against his will. The void was broken, and a compass with a diameter of tens of thousands of miles was forcibly pulled from the outside world into this dark world. On the wheel, endless star maps flickered, densely packed as if sealing a galaxy. Boom! The broken void healed instantly. At the same time, in the sea of blood, endless chains flew, entangled the huge star disk, and locked it tightly in the void. Great Nine Stars Descendant, how come you are in this boundless purgatory? What are you doing? An old voice came from the star disk, which was the voice that had been shouting to Longchen across the air. Since Longchen first opened the star battle body, this voice has been trying to communicate and transmit messages to him. However, many times communication is ineffective, always answering questions irrelevantly, or saying some inexplicable words. Later, Longchen always felt that this voice was not right. He kept listening to what it said, but rarely responded. On the battlefield of the Heaven Realm, he met the orthodox descendants of the 9 stars. This group of 9 stars descendants directly overturned Longchen's understanding of the 9 stars. Now that voice appeared again. Longchen roared and pulled the owner of this voice from an unknown world. For so many years, you have been urging me to become stronger, just to make me rush to the chaos world.
To meet the so-called son of the Star Lord and become his believer? Long Chen shouted, wandering on the edge of life and death for many years, circling in various conspiracies and intrigues. Long Chen's intuition told him that this was a conspiracy. The great 9-star descendants are not what you imagined. Tell me first, what happened? The anxious voice of the old man came from the star disk. On the star disk, star runes kept flowing, and Long Chen's eyes turned cold instantly. Still want to tip off? Boom! Long Chen's figure flashed and came to the star disk. The bone throne behind him trembled, and the entire dark world instantly surged, and the endless chain of order was agitated, sealing the sky and locking the earth. The starlight blooming on the star disk was swallowed by the endless darkness, and the entire star disk became dim and the light could not be transmitted. In this case, don't blame me for being rude. Long Chen gritted his teeth, and the stars flowed on his big hand. Great 9 stars descendant, don't be impulsive. The star disk shouted anxiously. Buzz! The endless chain of order pulled and sealed the star disk heavily. Long Chen's star power drove straight in and instantly invaded the core of the star disk. At the moment of invading the core of the star disk, Long Chen was instantly in the endless universe. 9 clusters of nebulae flowed around a huge star. That huge star was the chaotic world. Between the 9 nebulae and the chaos world, Long Chen saw some faint threads. It seemed that those threads were most likely the secret passages connecting the 9 heavens world and the chaos world. Between the 9 heavens world and the chaos world, Long Chen saw star disks shuttling rapidly. On the star disks, the stars kept flashing, sending the starlight into the 9 heavens world. So that's how it is. You are only responsible for transmitting information over a large area, not communicating with a single person at all. Seeing this, Long Chen immediately guessed the key. The star disk in front of Long Chen was just one of the many star disks, and in the chaos world, there was a mysterious force pulling them. Could it be the Star Lord Hall? Long Chen's star power exploded, wanting to continue tracing the source. Boom! With a loud bang, the huge star disk exploded and destroyed itself. Long Chen's face was gloomy. He had locked a location in the chaotic world through the star disk, but the star disk exploded. Ha! Long Chen returned to the throne. Gotcha! Suddenly there was a strange sound, and Long Chen was startled and stood up hurriedly. He found that the throne under him had countless cracks. The surrounding sea of blood had dried up at some point, and the entire dark world had become listless. Could it be? Long Chen was stunned. What he didn't expect was that, in his excitement, he mobilized the power of the entire dark world and forcibly pulled the star disk wandering between the 9 heavens world and the chaos world into the dark world. He even used the power of the dark world to use the star disk as a medium to explore its memory. As a result, what Long Chen didn't know was that this consumption was huge, even several times greater than the consumption when Kuan-Ding helped him enter the Star Hall. It seems to be in trouble. When Long Chen saw this scene, he immediately realized that it was not good. This was the home of the inner demon. Long Chen had inadvertently squandered all the inner demon's wealth. Long Chen squandered all the inner demon's wealth in the dark world, and the inner demon, who had transformed into the white-clothed Long Chen, had no idea at this time. He was holding the sleeping little Here in his arms and staring at the distant void in a daze. Because at this moment he found that he could not integrate into this world at all. Except for the sleeping little guy in his arms, the whole world seemed to have nothing to do with him. What made him feel most uncomfortable was that he had powerful strength and a wise mind, but Long Chen could make so many people die for him, and even if the white-clothed Long Chen escaped from purgatory, he still felt endless loneliness. Cattle and sheep are in herds, and beasts walk alone. Sooner or later, I will conquer the whole world, and all the heavens and 10,000 ways can only be trampled under my feet. Loneliness is inevitable. After all, I am the only one in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The white-clothed Long Chen snorted coldly and said in his heart, "It's just self-consolation." Xiaoyu said disdainfully. "You." Bai Long Chen suddenly remembered that he was occupying Long Chen's body. Xiaoyu recognized Long Chen as his master. The two of them were connected in spirit. Whatever he was thinking, Xiaoyu would know it immediately. This feeling of having no secrets was not good. But Bai Longchen had no other options. Although Xiaoyu recognized him as his master, Bai Longchen's will could not control Long Gu Xiaoyu. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Suddenly, there was a violent spatial fluctuation in front of him. Bai Longchen narrowed his eyes. Why is this fluctuation so familiar? Because that fluctuation is exactly the same as the fluctuation in the Tianyu battlefield. Xiaoyu also felt it. Oh my God, it's the seven-colored crane. Suddenly, someone shouted excitedly in front of him. In front of him was an ancient city of the human race. At this time, outside the ancient city, there were flying boats and chariots parked, and countless people were anxiously walking out of the ancient city. However, when the seven-colored crane appeared, countless people could not believe their eyes. Oh my God! It's the seven-colored crane that appeared. Our Fufing city is saved. Ha! As the seven-colored crane flew, endless black air appeared in front of him, covering the sky and the sun, and rushing towards this side rapidly. Absolutely in energy? Longchen in white finally understood why the people in the ancient city abandoned the city and fled. Boom, boom. A huge space crack appeared in front of us. An endless black gas was gushing out from the crack. Wherever the black gas passed, the mountains decayed, all spirits died, and the vitality of the world was completely devoured by it. Fortunately, affected by the laws of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, the speed of spread was not fast, giving people enough time to escape. However, people can escape, and those ancient cities, sects, and caves are all corroded by the black gas and become ruins. Ah, we're here. The little crane in Long Chen's arms opened his eyes and immediately flew out of Long Chen's arms, turning into a colorful crane, blending into the crane group and rushed towards the black fog. Be careful. That's the absolute energy. Long Chen in white was startled, he was a little worried and rushed over. Ha! Suddenly all the colorful cranes changed their formation, and the cranes cried for 9 days, like a long song from nature. At the same time, all the colorful cranes danced in the air. The colorful divine light was agitated, and collided with the black gas, and a strange scene appeared. The aura of absolute that could devour everything in the world collided with the colorful divine light and dissipated in an instant. It was actually directly purified by the auspicious aura. Hoo. Many colorful cranes were flying in the sky, and the auspicious aura was rising. Large areas of space were purified, and the scope of the black aura was rapidly shrinking. The actions of the colorful cranes attracted countless people to watch. Seeing this scene, countless people cheered for the colorful cranes. However, when they saw Long Chen in white, the faces of countless strong men changed drastically. Oh my God! That guy in white is the peerless evil demon who possessed Long Chen's body. I heard that he destroyed the Brahma Holy Land with his own hands, and even Long Can, one of the 8 great gods, was defeated by him. I heard that later, the powerful god emperors of the God clan were alarmed and took action. But he still escaped. Rumor has it that he killed countless powerful people in the heavenly domain battlefield, whether they were powerful people from the 9 heavens world or powerful people from outside the domain, he killed them all. Most of the powerful people in the heavenly domain battlefield were killed by him. This has caused a huge disaster. Countless people are thinking about seeking revenge on him. I heard that the Dragon Clan, the Purple Blood Clan, and the Lingxiao Academy were surrounded by people asking them to hand over Long Chen, but I didn't expect that Long Chen would appear here. Today's Long Chen has been possessed by another body and is no longer the Long Chen he used to be. He doesn't even care about the life and death of his Dragon Blood Legion. He has become a demon who kills without blinking an eye, and anyone can kill him. But you see, Long Chen in white is actually with the 7-colored cranes. If Long Chen in white is really a demon, then, what do you say? For a while, countless people were whispering. The battlefield of the Heaven Realm was destroyed, but many people survived. Especially some self-aware people. When they learned that the Chenquin Cauldron and the Heavenly Demon Harp appeared, they ran as far as they could. While others were fighting, they attracted countless strong people. They looked for opportunities everywhere and finally survived.
Although these people had experienced that battle, the scene of Long Chen in white holding the dragon bone evil moon and chasing the Qiankuan cauldron was seen by countless people.
Long Chen slashed the entire battlefield of the heaven realm with one knife. Everyone saw the sky-breaking blade. After they came out, they brought out an astonishing news. Long Chen destroyed the battlefield of the heaven realm with his own hands. Just when people didn't know whether this news could be believed, another heavy news came. Long Chen destroyed the Brahma Holy Land with his own hands, overwhelmed Long Can, one of the 8 great gods, and finally left calmly in front of the powerful God Emperor. For a time, the whole world was in an uproar. However, the news spread from 1 person to 10, and from 10 to 100. Various versions were flying around, and no one could tell whether the news was true or false. At this time, Long Chen in white appeared in front of everyone. Countless people were stunned. How could the peerless evil demon be with the 7 colored cranes that represented the auspiciousness of heaven and earth? Buzz, buzz, buzz. The 7 colored cranes flew in the sky. As their colorful wings danced, the auspicious aura purified the absolutely in aura, and the world gradually became clear. However, there was still a strong in energy in the huge space crack, which kept pouring out, and Xiao He and the others seemed to be a little tired at this time.
Ha! Long Chen in white clothes flashed, ignoring the strong in energy full of corrosive power, and rushed straight to the space crack.
Brother Long Chen, wait for me. I want to see it too. Xiao He's figure flashed, and she turned from a colorful crane into a girl, and ran over, grabbing Long Chen's big hand.
Let me go and see first, it's very dangerous inside. Long Chen in white clothes said seriously. I'm not afraid with Brother Long Chen here, I'm not afraid of anything. Xiao He refused to leave and her big eyes were full of pleading.
Even Long Chen in white clothes couldn't harden his heart to refuse Xiao He at this time, and could only nod and say, after you go in, don't let go. Yeah. Xiao He nodded obediently, and heard that Long Chen took her. Her face was full of excitement. Bai Long Chen formed a seal with one hand, and suddenly black chains intertwined in the void, forming a chain bridge. This chain bridge, with its own rules, penetrated the endless absolute in Qi and formed a safe passage. Wow! Brother Long Chen is so powerful. Xiao He's eyes were full of admiration. Even Bai Long Chen, hearing such innocent praise, couldn't help but feel moved, thinking to himself, how can there be such a pure and kind creature in the world? Bai Long Chen took Xiao He's hand and walked along the chain bridge to the space crack. This absolute in Qi was no threat to Bai Long Chen, but Xiao He had already shown signs of fatigue. So Bai Long Chen helped her save some energy. The other 7 colored cranes were still trying to purify the gushing absolute in Qi, while Bai Long Chen and Xiao He had already arrived at the entrance of the space crack. Sure enough, behind this is the Tianyu battlefield.
Bai Long Chen came to the entrance of the crack and immediately understood everything.
Brother Long Chen, do you know how this crack came about? Little He asked curiously.
You don't know. Long Chen in white was stunned.
Little He shook her head and said, I don't know. I was still sleeping when my mother woke me up and said that she had a mission for me and asked me to follow my brothers and sisters.
When I got here, I realized that our mission was to purify the absolute in energy here and repair the space crack. Brother Long Chen, how did this space crack come about? Long Chen in white was embarrassed and said, this space crack was formed when I blew up the battlefield of the sky domain and the 2 worlds collided.
It seems that it was his fault and Little He came to clean up his mess. Wow! Brother Long Chen is so awesome. Little He clapped her hands excitedly, without any complaints, and her eyes were full of admiration.
If it weren't for Little He's sincerity, Long Chen in white would even suspect that she was speaking in a sarcastic way.
Don't you ask why I blew up the battlefield of the sky domain? Long Chen in white asked. No need to ask. It must be the bad guys who bullied Brother Long Chen. Little He said.
Bai Long Chen smiled. This was the first time he laughed from the bottom of his heart since he came to the 9 heavens world. In this strange world, this beautiful and lovely little girl was the only one who trusted him.
From the little girl's eyes, Bai Long Chen could see that anyone who was against him was a bad person. It felt so good to be trusted without reservation. or even mindlessly. Go in and take a look. Bai Long Chun took Xiao Here's hand and walked directly into the space crack. Roar. However, just as he stepped into the space crack, a terrifying roar came, followed by a sky-covering claw whistling over. Bai Long Chun waved his hand, holding the dragon bone evil moon in his hand, and opened the 8 gates at the same time, and the first move was the 8 gates purgatory slash. This series of actions was completely instinctive. Bai Long Chun did not expect that there was a terrifying monster lurking behind this space crack. Bang! With a loud bang, Bai Long Chun's body shook violently, and the airflow was flying. The violent force expanded the space crack several times in an instant. Xiao He screamed. Fortunately, Bai Long Chun pulled her behind him in time. Otherwise, the terrifying force would tear her apart in an instant. Bai Long Chun was shocked. The monster's attack made his arm numb, and the dragon bone evil moon almost slipped out of his hand. Looking closely, it turned out to be a giant wolf with black scales all over its body. The giant wolf had 2 heads and black flames were wrapped around its body, and it was fierce. Half-step divine emperor-level powerhouse? Bai Long Chun was shocked, and suddenly he understood that the laws in the Tianyu battlefield could not give birth to a monarch-level powerhouse. The strongest existence here can only reach the peak of the emperor, and this 2-headed giant wolf should be a monster sealed here. When he was fighting with Chen Ding, the monster broke free from its restraints and rushed out. It relied on the space cracks to extract the power of the laws of the 9 heavens world and broke through to the half-step God Emperor. If given time, it is very likely to break through directly to the realm of the God Emperor, break through the cracks, and enter the 9 heavens world. Brother Longchen, Xiao He exclaimed. She didn't expect that there was a terrifying wolf waiting for them here. Don't be afraid, it has just entered the half-step God Emperor and its strength is much worse than Long can. I can deal with it. I don't know if it was because of Xiao He's fear that aroused by Long Chen's desire to protect him, or if he gradually lost himself in Xiao He's praise and admiration. Bai Long Chun was ready to kill this 2-headed giant wolf that had nothing to do with him. Boom! Bai Long Chun formed a seal with one hand, and suddenly the void behind him exploded, and the bone throne gradually emerged. Crack, crack, crack. However, the moment the bone throne appeared, it began to crack, and Long Chen's face changed. Buzz! At this moment, the 2-headed giant wolf opened its mouth, one black and one white, and 2 beams of light intertwined and flew towards the 2. Prison law, prison gate. Boom! With Long Chen's shout, a huge black door with a demon's face appeared. The huge door covered the sky and was thousands of miles thick. In the center of the huge door was a huge demon's face, grinning and ferocious, and countless monster totems were flashing around the huge face. This move was Long Chen's strongest defense, and it had resisted the continuous bombardment of the Chenkuan cauldron. But the dark giant door summoned at this time was full of cracks as soon as it appeared, and even the runes were dim and powerless. Boom! With a loud bang, the dark giant door that could even block the power of the Chenkuan cauldron for a period of time actually exploded in an instant. Long Chun in white had a change of expression. He didn't know what had happened. His original power had been used up without him knowing when. He had been saving his power. Even when he was fighting with Long Ken, most of the power he used was from killing the strong men of the Brahma lineage and drawing it with the gate of hell. Only when he used the bone throne did he use his original power. According to his estimation, he still had at least 80% of his original power left. How could it suddenly be used up? However, this was not the time to think about this question. Long Chun in white held Xiao He in his left hand and formed a seal with his right hand. Endless chains intertwined to form a huge net. Boom, boom, boom. There were continuous explosions, followed by the shaking of the world. The figures of Long Chun in white and Xiao He rushed out from the crack in space. Brother Long Chun! Xiao He exclaimed. Long Chun in white stood in the void, blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. Long Chun in white was injured. Long Chun in white looked at Xiao He, who was concerned and distressed, and slowly squatted down. His big hand stroked Xiao He's delicate cheek and said, "This injury is not a big deal. Xiao He, tell me, Do you like me, this Long Chun, or that Long Chun?
Brother Long Chen, what's wrong with you? Why do you say that?
You are the same person, Xiao He said.
Same person.
Bai Long Chun looked at Xiao He. He didn't understand why Xiao He said such a thing. He reached out and rubbed Xiao He's head and said, "Forget it. It's time to return your brother Long Chun to you. However, before leaving, I, your brother Long Chun, will do you one last favor." OM. Bai Long Chun formed seals with his hands, and a blood-colored chain, with endless power of laws, roared out like a strange dragon. Chi, chi, chi. The strange dragon was like a silk thread, and in an instant it sewed up the huge space crack, and the space crack closed instantly. Seal.
Bai Longchen shouted, and a seal with a demon totem appeared on the mended crack. Boom, boom, boom.
There were bursts of muffled sounds in the crack. It should be the two-headed giant wolf attacking the seal, but it was useless. Although the two-headed giant wolf was terrifyingly powerful, it could not come over because of the restrictions of the laws of the Nine Heavens world. Otherwise, it would have rushed out long ago. Now that the crack has been sewed up, and there is also the seal of Bai Long Chun, it cannot tear the crack open again in a short time. Although the crack was stitched, there were still traces of black gas coming out, but these traces of black gas would not have any impact on the Nine Heavens world. Ooh. At this moment, the other 7 colored cranes purified the remaining absolute in energy and transformed into young boys and girls to surround them. Brother Long Chun, your face is so white, are you okay? Xiao He pulled Long Chen's hand and said tremblingly. The white-clothed Long Chun smiled slightly and slowly opened his arms. Xiao He immediately threw herself into Long Chen's arms.
However, Xiao He found that Long Chen's body was getting heavier and heavier, and he slowly fell down. Xiao He was shocked and hurriedly hugged Long Chen.
At this time, Long Chen's flawless white clothes slowly faded and turned into black clothes.
Brother Long Chen,
Xiao He exclaimed, and the other boys and girls were also surprised and hurried over to check.
He fell into a deep sleep, his body was extremely tired and it has reached its limit. Let him rest well. A slightly older woman said after checking Long Chen's situation.
After a series of battles in the Tianyu battlefield, Long Chen's body was already exhausted. Later, he was possessed by the inner demon. After a series of battles, the inner demon and Long Chen's body were not compatible. So he did not realize that his body had exceeded its limit, so he overdrew. Now that the inner demon has retreated and Long Chen's soul has returned, all the overdrawn will be repaid by Long Chun, the original owner.
Long Chen.
When Long Chun in white looked at his broken throne, the dried blood sea, and the withered world laws, he could not help but roared. What on earth did you do? Xiao He was relieved when she heard her sister say that Long Chun was fine. Just as she was about to take Long Chen away, a group of people surrounded them, and a malicious voice came.
Sorry, you can go, but Long Chen must stay.
At some point, a group of powerful demons surrounded them. There were only a few thousand of them. The strongest was only a half-step emperor, and he had not condensed his own divine talisman and would never be able to truly step into the realm of emperors. If this kind of person was in the previous battle on the battlefield of the heaven realm, they would not even be qualified to be killed. But now, they dared to stand up because they saw that Long Chun had fallen into a deep coma and had become a fish to be slaughtered. As for the 7-colored crane clan, although it was a symbol of auspiciousness, no one dared to deal with them for fear of being contaminated by karma. However, the 7-colored crane clan itself had no fighting power. As long as they could take Long Chun away without hurting them, it would be worth it even if they were contaminated by some karma. What are you going to do? Xiao He was shocked and angry. Nothing to do. Long Chun killed countless of our clansmen in the Nine Heavens world, and killed countless of our Tianjiao in the heavenly domain battlefield. We must avenge this hatred. You must leave Long Chun. Otherwise we can only be rude. As soon as the man finished speaking, he rushed over directly, without discussing with Xiao He and others. Puff, puff, puff. However, as soon as their figures moved, blood-colored petals flew, and these monster clan strongmen were instantly strangled into blood mist. A group of ants. Xie Yu snorted coldly. This group of idiots dared to ignore it and treat it as air. At this time, Xiaoyu felt mixed emotions. When Bai Longchun dealt with the two-headed giant wolf before, it did not use its own power to help him. As a result, Bai Longchun exhausted his own power and could not stay in the Nine Heavens world, and finally disappeared. However, if he helped Bai Longchun, then Hei Longchun would not be able to return for the time being. And at this moment, this group of idiots actually wanted to take Longchun away, and Xiaoyu directly took action and killed them. Puff, puff, puff. Not only that, there was a group of people who were eager to try in the distance, but they were also killed by the endless blood-colored petals and turned into blood mist in an instant. The blood-colored petals kept rushing into the crowd, and people were horrified and ran around. Puff, puff, puff. But the blood-colored petals were as fast as lightning, and they couldn't escape at all. After the blood-colored petals were rampant, only a small half of the onlookers were left, and they stayed in place with horror on their faces, and their bodies were still shaking. Who? The blood-colored petals returned and turned into blood-colored swords, falling behind Longchun. Xiaoyu killed all those who were hostile to Longchun. Perhaps he was influenced by the decisive will of Longchun in white clothes, so he killed them. When he was with Longchun before, Longchun's style was that as long as you don't make a move, I don't bother to care about you, but as long as you dare to show your weapon, you are the enemy, and as long as you are the enemy, you will be killed without mercy. But Xiaoyu was different at this time. As long as it sensed hostility, it would directly kill even if it didn't make a move. It was too lazy to wait. As for those who were just there to watch the fun, Xiaoyu temporarily let them go, and these people didn't know why Xiaoyu let them go. Let's go. Seeing Longu Xiaoyu take action, the slightly older woman turned into a colorful crane, carrying Longchun on her back, with colorful auspicious light, and flew away with everyone. Unlike when they came, this time the colorful cranes were extremely fast, flapping their wings and disappeared in an instant. Ha! Longchun suddenly climbed up. At this time, Longchun realized that he was lying on the bed. He hurriedly climbed up from the bed and felt dizzy. Huala huala. Just then, there was a light sound outside the door. When Longchun heard the sound, he couldn't help but be ecstatic and hurriedly pushed open the door. It was already sunny outside, and the sunlight sprinkled into the yard through the gaps between the leaves, like scattered gold. A white-haired old man stood in the sun, holding a broom, and patiently swept the leaves in the yard together. Master Jingyuan. When he saw Master Jingyuan, Longchun was so excited that his eyes turned red, as if the wandering child had finally returned home. Master Jingyuan has always been the most mysterious existence in Lingxiao Academy. Even Longchun has not had much interaction with him. But for some reason, Longchun has a special feeling for Master Jingyuan. He is like Longchun's strongest pillar. Hearing Longchun's voice, Master Jingyuan slowly stopped his actions, looked at Longchun with a pair of turbid eyes, nodded slightly, and sighed. Child, you have been wronged. Hearing this, Longchun felt his nose sour and tears almost fell out. Lord Jingyuan's words seemed to have known everything that happened to Longchun. Longchun took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. He spread his consciousness and found that this was actually the first branch. Today's first branch is very lively and has gathered countless strong people, many of whom Longchun does not know. Lord Jingyuan, why are you here? Longchun hurriedly stepped forward to salute and said excitedly, I'm here to support you. Lord Jingyuan smiled and said, You are the youngest dean of our Lingxiao Academy, but it seems that this Nine Heavens world has long forgotten that our Lingxiao Academy is the oldest academy in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It has also forgotten the glory of our Lingxiao Academy. They all treat you as a soft persimmon. If we continue to be cowards, it will be unreasonable. Hearing Lord Jingyuan say this, Longchun was immediately overjoyed, but Longchun's face changed. Lord Jingyuan, that Qinzong. The first thing Longchun thought of was Ziyan, who was protected by the Tiamakin and sealed in the space of the Tiamakin. Now that the heavenly demon harp has returned to the Qin sect, he doesn't know how Ziyan is doing now. Now that he has lost the Kuan Ding, even if Master Jingyuan helps him, how can he deal with the heavenly demon harp? one of the 10 chaos artifacts. Don't be afraid, Master Jingyuan said. You have just woken up, and your soul has not yet completely matched your body. I will give you an incense stick of time to recover briefly, and then we will set off. By the way, this is the letter that Xiao here left for you. She went to retreat. If you can wake up half an hour earlier, you can say goodbye to her. Only then did Long Chun know that he had been in a coma for 3 days. When he opened the letter, Long Chun couldn't help but laugh. Xiao here couldn't write, so she scribbled and drew. Long Chun could barely understand it. It meant that she was going to sleep. When she woke up, she would grow up, and then let Long Chun take her to play everywhere. In the end, he drew a 2-headed monster wolf with big lumps all over its head. Long Chun didn't understand this, but he still put the letter carefully. Long Chun rested for an incense stick of time, because the inner demon occupied his body for a long time, which made it take some time for Long Chun's soul to return to its place, and for his soul to be reconnected with his flesh and blood meridians. After an incense stick of time, Long Chun came out. At this time he was still extremely weak, but in order to save Ziyan, there was no time to lose. Let's go! Master Jingyuan stretched out a finger and drew a line in the void. The sky curtain split open, and took Long Chun into the sky curtain. Whoosh! The void split open, and the figures of Long Chun and Master Jingyuan appeared in front of a mountain gate. In front of the mountain gate, a dozen Qin sect disciples were on duty, but when Master Jingyuan and Long Chun appeared, they did not react at all, as if they could not see the two at all, let alone feel any spatial fluctuations. Master Jingyuan stood in the void, looking at the surging formation in front of him, and frowned slightly. What's wrong, Master Jingyuan? Long Chun asked hurriedly. Master Jingyuan shook his head, and descended from the air with Long Chun, step by step towards the mountain gate, and said as he walked, As the dean of the academy, you should know some secrets. Qin, chess, calligraphy, and painting, the 4 ancient sects, were actually separated from Lingxiao Academy. What? Even with Long Chen's experience, he couldn't help but be shocked. He didn't know anything about this. The earliest Lingxiao Academy had 4 sects, 8 prefectures, 12 caves, and 36 blessed places. As the two talked, they had already arrived in front of the mountain gate, only a few feet away from the gatekeeper. However, Master Jingyuan brought Long Chun and stepped into the mountain gate and the barrier in front of them. They did not react at all, and the mountain gate formation was useless and could not block them at all. Entering the mountain gate, there were endless dangerous peaks and pavilions in front of them, and the ancient atmosphere was blowing in their faces. Master Jingyuan walked side by side with Long Chun, saying as they walked, However, after the Chaos War, except for the 4 major sects, all were destroyed. Even Lingxiao Academy could only survive in the end. The 4 major sects have since established their own schools. In fact, establishing one's own school is not a bad thing. However, after establishing one's own school, it deviated from the purpose of the academy to preach and spread the Dharma, and teach and educate people. Except for the Shu sect, the other 3 sects have gone astray, which is a pity. Long Chun was shocked when he heard what Master Jingyuan said. In this way, the foundation of Lingxiao Academy was even more terrifying than he had imagined. And he, the dean, didn't know anything about it. The academy was too low-key. Who? At this moment, many figures flew past the two of them, as if they were patrolling. They all looked solemn, but they could not see the two of them at all. Lord Jingyuan continued, Dean Long Chun, you have now touched the shackles of the Emperor realm. At this point, do you have any insights into cultivation? Hearing Lord Jingyuan's question, Long Chun pondered for a moment and said, Although my nirvana failed this time, I have gained a lot of insights in the nirvana space. Looking back on the past, the path of cultivation is nothing more than the 3 stages of Tao, Fa, and Shu. Lord Jingyuan asked, Why? Long Chun replied, Tao is divided into yin and yang, Fa is divided into internal and external, and Shu is divided into high and low. Lord Jingyuan asked again, And which stage are you at? I am ashamed that I am still struggling in the stage of Shu for so many years. Long Chun said. Master Jingyuan said, Your strength is unrivaled among your peers, Why are you so humble? Long Chun shook his head and said, I am not humble, but I have fallen into a misunderstanding and cannot extricate myself. In the nirvana space, I suddenly realized that I used to think that cultivation is the cultivation of the Tao, using techniques to seek the Tao, using the Tao to control techniques, and following the steps can lead to the Tao. Master Jingyuan nodded and said, even the mentors in my academy almost all teach their students in this way. The rules accumulated over countless years have always been regarded as the criterion and seem to be impeccable. Long Chan said, but there are many people who practice Taoism, but few who achieve Taoism. This proves that this so-called rule is very likely wrong, or in other words, even if this path is correct, it is not suitable for most people. Seeking the way through the art is the right direction, but how to seek it? Where to seek it? How many steps to seek it? No one can tell. Therefore, the disciple believes that the key to seeking the way through the art is the law. If you get the law, you can go straight to the other shore. If you don't get the law, you can only sink in the sea of suffering forever. And for so many years, the disciple has been seeking the strongest art, but has never thought about the law. It is really foolish. Hearing Long Chen's words, Master Jingyuan laughed and said, you are worthy of being the youngest dean in the history of Lingxiao Academy. This understanding is simply amazing. Master Jingyuan, you are too kind to praise me. I don't deserve it. Long Chun said ashamedly. Master Jingyuan laughed and said, no, you can figure out this problem at this level. And you deserve the 4 words of natural talent. As you said, in today's world, most people are obsessed with art, but don't know the law. When one advances to the level of an emperor, he has already touched upon the realm of the law. Unfortunately, even if one is a god emperor, he thinks that he has mastered the power of the laws of heaven and earth, but in fact, he only knows the law but not the reason. Because you are about to touch upon the scope of the law, I wanted to remind you, but I didn't expect that your understanding of the law is already so profound. It seems that I don't need to say more. Long Chun hurriedly said, disciple knows nothing about the law. It is enough for you to know whether you have obtained the law or not, said Master Jingyuan. The world is the only way. Long Chen asked. Lord Jingyuan laughed, his face full of approval. If Bai Letian and others saw it, they would be shocked. They had never seen Lord Jingyuan smile at anyone in their lives, let alone approve of anyone. From Lord Jingyuan's smile, Long Chun seemed to understand something, but he also seemed to understand nothing. However, Long Chen had a feeling that at least he was on the right track, which gave him a lot of confidence. If he could comprehend the power of the law one day, then even if there were God Emperor level strongmen, there would be nothing to be afraid of. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion in front, and the vast imperial power was surging. Looking ahead, there were thunders rolling in the sky, and someone was actually going through the tribulation. No wonder there are still so many people patrolling in the barrier. It turns out that someone is going through the tribulation. Long Chun looked at the rolling thunder, his eyes cold. Because in the rolling tribulation, Long Chun felt a familiar breath, and the person who was going through the tribulation was none other than young Master Chunyang. The small talk is over. It's time to get down to business. Who? Lord Jingyuan took a step forward and appeared directly outside the heavenly tribulation with Long Chun. Here, countless powerful men from the Qin sect were looking at the tribulation clouds with a nervous look on their faces. At this time, the sky was thundering, and endless chains of thunder were intertwined to form a heavenly thunder formation. At the core of the formation, young Master Chunyang was sitting cross-legged in it, with his natal rune between his eyebrows flowing, the power of the law rising, and he was using the power of the heavenly tribulation to temper his body and refine his spirit. Who is it? And when Master Jingyuan and Long Chun appeared, an old woman in white who was sitting cross-legged in the air shouted. What surprised Long Chun was that the old woman in white shouted so loudly that his soul trembled. The terrifying power of the law penetrated into his soul. Whoosh! The old woman's figure flashed, and she slapped Long Chun and Master Jingyuan in the air. Bang! Master Jingyuan did not move, and the old woman was suddenly blown away by an invisible force. Puff! The old woman spurted out a mouthful of blood, and suddenly, a piercing alarm sounded in the entire Qin sect, and at the same time a large formation rose up. Long Chun. In the heavenly tribulation, there was a scream from young Master Chunyang. His voice was full of fear. Don't be distracted. The old woman who was blown away was shocked and shouted. Boom, boom. As expected, when young Master Chunyang was distracted, the violent thunder power surged wildly, and the life rune between young Master Chunyang's eyebrows flickered in an instant, like a candle in the wind. Everything is in your hands. You can decide the life and death of Qin Zong. Master Jingyuan looked at Long Chun and said. With Master Jingyuan's words, Long Chun was immediately full of confidence and gritted his teeth and said, Hand over Zi Yen. At this time, Long Chun was full of uneasiness. He was afraid that Zi Yen had met with an accident. Looking for death, the white-haired old woman, a half-step god emperor-level strongman, was inexplicably blown away and was furious. Long Chun had killed countless disciples of Qinzong, and now he dared to come to the door, which was simply too much. Boom, boom, boom. The great formation in Qin's sect was flowing, and every building was shining with divine light, rushing towards the white-haired old woman. The white-haired old woman formed seals with her hands, and a big hand condensed by endless law runes rushed straight to Long Chun and Master Jingyuan to grab them. Long Chun, watch carefully, there are two kinds of so-called law power. One is the flowing law power, and the other is the imprisoned law power. The flowing law power is like a flowing river, which goes on and circulates endlessly. The imprisoned law is like water condensing into ice. Although it has the power of law, it is dull and rigid without any vitality. Although this kind of law power is easy to control, it is far from the flowing law power. Boom! At this moment, the giant hand suddenly grasped the two of them, and this time Long Chun was fully focused. Long Chun discovered that just as the giant hand was about to hold the two of them, a strange force flowed through Lord Jingyuan's body. The force flashed and disappeared. If Long Chun had not been concentrating, he would not have been able to sense the fluctuation of the force. However, at the moment when the force flowed, it was like a steel needle piercing the water bag that had expanded to the extreme. With a loud bang, the giant hand containing the terrifying law exploded. At the moment when the giant hand exploded, the glowing buildings also collapsed. The white-haired old woman spit out blood again, and a terrifying crack appeared between her eyebrows. Who is the senior? Why do you want to embarrass my Qin sect? The white-haired old woman was finally terrified at this time. After 2 consecutive attacks, she could not see clearly how Lord Jingyuan attacked. This showed that the old man in front of her was not someone she could provoke. The white-haired old woman looked nervous, and the eyes of the Chunyang master in the heavenly tribulation were full of fear. Long Chun suddenly felt something was wrong. Who? Lei Linger appeared beside Long Chun. She took a step forward and rushed directly into the heavenly tribulation. Senior, let's talk nicely. The white-haired old woman screamed, and countless powerful people from Qin's sect also looked terrified at this time. Boom! At this moment, Lei Linger had already appeared in the heavenly tribulation of Master Chunyang. She formed seals with her hands, and endless thunder symbols spread in the heavenly tribulation. The thunder symbols actually kept devouring the thunder power between heaven and earth. She is going to take over the heavenly tribulation. People were shocked. Lei Linger actually devoured the power of the heavenly tribulation, and the will of the heavenly tribulation was weakened at a speed visible to the naked eye. Long Chun, what are you going to do? Master Chunyang was at a critical moment of crossing the tribulation at this time, and he screamed in horror. His life symbol was about to complete the transformation in the baptism of the heavenly tribulation, and he was about to become a powerful emperor. But at this time, Lei Linger actually took over the heavenly tribulation. The endless power of thunder was swallowed by Lei Linger, and he was completely panicked. Where is Zi Yen? Long Chun gritted his teeth. She. Young Master Chunyang said 2 she's in a row, and Long Chen's eyes suddenly burst with murderous intent. Ah!
Suddenly Lei Linger made seals with both hands, and endless thunder chains instantly pierced through young Master Chunyang's body. Young Master Chunyang had been through the tribulation for a long time and consumed a huge amount of original power. At this time, he was completely unable to resist. Long Chun, the white-haired old woman, gritted her teeth. If you dare to kill him, I promise to make that bitch Ziyen live a life worse than death. Boom! However, just as the white-haired old woman finished her harsh words, the void behind her exploded, and the ferocious vines instantly entangled her. The white-haired old woman was shocked. Just as she was about to make a seal, Master Jingyuan looked at her, and she was horrified to find that she could not move. Puff, puff, puff. The vines pierced the white-haired old woman's body fiercely, and the white-haired old woman immediately let out a pig-killing howl. Puff, puff, puff. Soon, her howling stopped abruptly, and bloody vines pierced through her mouth, eyes, and ears. With a bang, the body of the white-haired old woman was forcibly blown up by Gigi, and at that moment, the information obtained by Gigi quickly poured into Long Chen's mind. Ziyen was no longer here. It turned out that just one day ago, the leader of the Qin sect had taken the heavenly demon harp and some of the Qin sect's strong men away. As for where she went, the old woman didn't know. Damn it! Long Chun couldn't help but grit his teeth. His figure flashed and appeared in front of Master Chunyang. He pinched Master Chunyang's neck with his big hand and said grimly, "Tell me, where was Ziyen taken?" Although Gigi's strength has greatly increased now, it is related to the heavenly demon harp, and Gigi's detection skills are easily ineffective. Logically speaking, the white-haired old woman is a high-ranking member of the Qin sect, and it is impossible for her to know so little. Now we can only force a confession. She was taken away by the sect master because the heavenly demon harp chose to merge with her. If it is forcibly separated, she will die, but her obsession will remain in the heavenly demon harp. The heavenly demon harp has two parts, one in her hands, and the other in our hands. The fusion of the two will be the complete state of the heavenly demon harp, but it cannot solve Ziyan's problem. The fused heavenly demon harp, with the obsession of death, may not be controlled by us. The sect master took the heavenly demon harp and went. At this point, young Master Chunyang became hesitant. Ah! Lei Linger formed a seal with one hand, and endless spikes grew on the chain, causing young Master Chunyang to scream in pain. I said, she went to the chaos world. The sect master said that only Patriarch Yang can solve it. Who is Patriarch Yang? Long Chen roared. Without waiting for Master Chunyang to answer, Master Jingyuan said, "It is Chao Yang, the founder of Qin sect, or rather, Chao Yang who separated from Lingshao Academy and established his own sect." Ah! Long Chen roared, and when he thought of Ziyan's unknown life or death, and now she had fallen into the hands of the master of Qin sect, he was extremely anxious. Puff! In his rage, Long Chun even forgot that he was holding Master Chunyang's neck. With his burst of power, Master Chunyang was crushed by him and turned into a ball of blood mist. Master Jingyuan, please help me break the realm. I want to go to the chaotic world to save Ziyen. After crushing Master Chunyang, Long Chun regained a bit of reason and said to Master Jingyuan. At this time, Long Chun was extremely anxious, his eyes were red, and in a weak state people were more easily excited. When I first arrived here, I couldn't sense the breath of the heavenly demon harp, and I knew this result. Dean Long Chun, don't worry. Ziyen will not be in any danger in the short term. You can rest assured, Master Jingyuan comforted. Hearing Master Jingyuan's words, Long Chun felt much more at ease. At this time, he realized that he didn't know when he had been sweating profusely. Thinking of himself like an ant on a hot pot before, his thoughts were confused, and he couldn't help but say with some shame, "I am incompetent, Master Jingyuan. I make you laugh. I don't know whether my beloved is dead or alive." If Dean Long Chun can still remain absolutely calm, I am afraid that Master Long Chun would not have so many confidants. Master Jingyuan said. Long Chun smiled awkwardly. He looked at the terrified disciples of the Qin sect around him. At this time they seemed to be stupid, and they didn't even dare to run. Looking at them, Master Jingyuan sighed and said, "Since the Qin sect left Lingshao Academy, it is no longer the Qin sect that played the sun and the moon and the flute played the universe. If Dean Longchun feels that there is no place to vent his anger, he can wave his hand to destroy it." Master Jingyuan's words frightened the Qin sect's strong men, trembling all over. Their eyes were full of fear. They quietly waited for Longchen's judgment and didn't even dare to kneel down and beg for mercy. "Forget it." Longchen shook his head and said, "There is a head for the wrong and a master for the debt." Before, in the Tianyu battlefield, all the Qin sect's strong men who participated in the siege, except for Master Chunyang, were killed by him. Hey, Longchen suddenly thought of a person, Liao Yuhuang. Longchen remembered that he hadn't seen Liao Yuhuang since she was tied up. When Longchen attacked the Tianma Qin, he still maintained his rationality. If Liao Yuhuang was in the barrier, Longchen should have seen her at the first time and would never kill her. However, Longchen searched his memory and it seemed that Liao Yuhuang was not among them when he attacked the Tianma Qin. "Who knows if Liao Yuhuang is still alive?" Longchen shouted. "Fairy Yuhuang is still alive, and has also been taken away by the master," someone hurriedly answered. Hearing that Liao Yuhuang was still alive, Longchen was relieved. Seeing that Longchen did not kill these people, Master Jingyuan took Longchen out slowly. An old man and a young man walked side by side. When they came, Qinzong was full of vitality, and when they left, Qinzong was already in ruins. "Master Jingyuan, if I kill them, will you look down on me?" Longchen asked as he walked. "No." Master Jingyuan shook his head. "If I don't kill them, will you think I am too soft-hearted?" Longchen asked again. "No." Lord Jingyuan said, "In fact, many times, killing or not killing is both right and wrong. Do you understand?" Longchen nodded and said, "The so-called right and wrong are just different ideas generated by different perspectives." Lord Jingyuan added, "There is another point, right and wrong. If you pull a timeline, right and wrong are also different on different timelines. One thing, you think it is right at the time, but after 100 years you find that everything that was right is wrong, and everything that was wrong is right. I'm taught you." Longchen accepted it humbly. Lord Jingyuan saw that Longchen's complexion gradually improved and he was no longer so anxious, so he said, "In fact, with your wisdom, you should be able to think that Miss Ziyen is a person with great luck because she can get the heavenly demon harp to recognize her as the master. People with great luck often have bad luck and constant disasters, but most of them can turn danger into safety. It's just that you are too concerned." When Longchen heard this, he thought about it. Qian Jie was killed so badly in the battlefield of the Heaven Realm, but he was not killed by the inner demon. He was really lucky. Xie Yu had told Longchen everything about Bai Yi Longchen. Longchen was also shocked by the strength of the inner demon. The growth rate of the inner demon had far exceeded his. Longchen couldn't even understand how he grew up in that dark world. It was a pity that he was pulled back before he had time to study the dark world seriously. When he thought about it, the inner demon was so terrifying, but it couldn't kill Qian Jie on the spot. He was just a slave. That kid is right. The heavenly demon harp was damaged during the Chaos War and was separated into a spirit and a body. The body gave birth to intelligence on its own. It is very difficult to merge with the original spirit. If they want to merge the soul of the body, they must not let Ziyen die inside, and the body of the heavenly demon harp will never let Ziyen be separated by them. In this way, Qinzong is likely to use the heavenly sound soul erosion technique to control the soul of the heavenly demon harp's body little by little. Even if Chao Yang takes action personally, it will take at least a year to barely see the effect. If it is to succeed absolutely, it will take at least 3 years. I know Chao Yang very well. This person is cautious and has no courage. When he set up his own sect, it was a bunch of people under him who pushed him to that position. Therefore, you have at least 3 years to rescue Ziyen. You don't need to worry at all. Improving yourself first is the most important thing. When he heard that there were at least 3 years left, Longchen finally breathed a sigh of relief. At that moment, Longchen felt that the whole world was much brighter.
Long Chun couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. He was still too naive. Ziyen was trapped, and the whole person became confused and lost the ability to think calmly. After calming down, Long Chun asked, Master Jingyuan, Qin's sect uses music to peek into the sky. Music is like stirring up clear waves and cleansing away impurities. The 5 tones can directly reach the way of heaven. Logically, there should be some wise men with strong wills and compassion for the world. Why? Why are there only some mentally retarded people? Master Jingyuan laughed. Long Chen nodded. Looking at the Qin sect, the people he knew, except Liao Yuhuang, were either narrow-minded villains or hypocritical hypocrites. This puzzled Long Chen. Ha! While talking, Master Jingyuan and Long Chen had already walked out of the Qin sect's mountain gate. Master Jingyuan looked back at the Qin sect, which had become a ruin, and sighed. You also said that one of the reasons is to use music to spy on the heavens. Of the 5 tones and 12 musical notes, sound is the Tao. Rhythm is the law. Music is the sound of heaven and earth, the words of all things. Just listen carefully, why bother to spy? Giving without taking will breed delusion. Once you have a delusion, Long Chun almost instinctively continued, once you have a delusion, your spirit will be startled. Once you are startled, you will be attached to all things. Once you are attached to all things, you will be greedy. Once you are greedy, you will be troubled. Troubled and delusional. With a painful mind and body, you will suffer humiliation, wander between life and death, always sink into the sea of suffering, and forever lose the true way. Lord Jingyuan nodded and said, You have memorized this passage of purity and tranquility by heart. Purity and tranquility is the general outline of the practice of piano, chess, calligraphy, and painting, and it is the foundation of their practice. However, look at the Qin sect. Everyone is full of desires and ambitions. How can they be pure and quiet? You said this is just one of them? Are there any other reasons? Long Chen asked. Another reason is related to the sky. Lord Jingyuan pointed to the sky above his head and smiled slightly. Is it related to the laws of heaven? Long Chun suddenly thought of Qian Ding. Kuan Ding also said that the laws of heaven had changed and it was related to Qian Ding. The heaven you are talking about is not the same heaven as the heaven I am talking about. Lord Jingyuan shook his head. You mean, there is a heaven outside the heaven? Long Chen slapped his thigh. Ha ha ha. Lord Jingyuan laughed. His laughter was full of relief and praise. He didn't expect that he only reminded Long Chen slightly, and Long Chen suddenly understood. Long Chen was shocked. At that moment, countless pictures appeared in Long Chen's mind. Many things that he didn't understand seemed to be able to find clues from these 4 words. After Lord Jingyuan laughed, he never said a word about the second reason. Obviously, some words cannot be said and can only be understood by oneself. And through Long Chen's shocked expression, Lord Jingyuan already knew that Long Chen understood what he meant. Ha! Lord Jingyuan made a stroke of his finger, breaking through the void and taking Long Chen directly into the sky. The void changed, and the two had appeared in a lake surrounded by mountains. Ask that old man, how can I teleport as I please? Why do I not know where I will go after I tear the void? At this time, Xie Yu's voice sounded in Long Chen's mind. At the beginning, it and Long Chen in white shattered the void and escaped. The space was turbulent and there was no way to know where it would appear. But Master Jingyuan can freely shuttle in the void. The free-spirited appearance makes Xie Yu feel itchy. Before Long Chen scolded Xie Yu for not calling Master Jingyuan like that, Master Jingyuan spoke first. It's useless to ask the old man. Your strength is not enough. When your power of law can be sent and received by your heart, you can do it naturally. Fuck! Xie Yu was shocked. Couldn't hide its communication with Long Chen from this old man. This was embarrassing. Long Chen was also embarrassed and wanted to pull Xie Yu out and beat him up. Master Jingyuan did not take Longu Sheiyue's rudeness seriously and said, Long Chen, although you are talented and have a high level of comprehension, you have practiced for too short a time, and there are still many flaws in your practice that need to be made up. You are now in a state of deficiency, and your essence, energy, and spirit are all deficient. I deliberately did not give you time to heal your wounds, just to teach you how to heal your wounds alone. Hearing that Master Jingyuan wanted to teach him something, Long Chun immediately concentrated, fearing that he would miss a word. Healing wounds, in our era, there is a more appropriate name, called replenishing the deficiency. Replenishing the deficiency? Long Chun nodded. This name is indeed more appropriate. Come on, start healing in your own way, and don't use the power of the world in your body. Master Jingyuan said. The so-called inner world refers to the chaotic space in Long Chun's body. Long Chun did not expect that Master Jingyuan even knew this. Long Chun took a deep breath, formed a seal with his hands, and the 8-colored divine ring behind him stretched the sky and the earth, and suddenly formed a huge vortex. Stop! Before Long Chun began to draw the power of heaven and earth, he was stopped by Master Jingyuan. Since you are using the power of heaven and earth to make up for the deficiency, you should know that the way of heaven is to take away the surplus and make up for the deficiency, and the way of man is just the opposite, to take away the deficiency to serve the surplus. You forcibly draw the power of heaven and earth, which belongs to the way of man. The more you want, the harder it will be to get. The difficulty of repair will be greatly increased, and the effect will be greatly reduced. Since you know the classic of purity and tranquility, you should understand that if a person can always be pure and quiet, heaven and earth will all return to him. When you merge with heaven and earth, you become a part of heaven and earth will naturally make up for your losses. This is like a depression next to a marsh. You don't need to work hard to pump water, you just need to merge with the marsh, and the water will naturally help you fill the depression. Use your magic ring as a link to communicate with heaven and earth. Under the guidance of Master Jingyuan, Long Chun closed his eyes and concentrated, forming seals with his hands, and silently chanted in his heart. Look inside his heart, the heart has no heart. Look outside his form, the form has no form. Look far away at the objects have no objects. Once the three are realized, only emptiness is seen. Observing emptiness is also emptiness. Emptiness has nothing to be empty. There is nothing in the void, and there is nothing else. The sacred scriptures echoed in Long Chun's mind. Almost at the same time as Long Chun was reciting the scriptures, the invisible tides between heaven and earth began to surge and slowly poured into the divine ring. The divine ring lit up rapidly, and the 8-colored divine light enveloped Long Chun. The most refined and pure power between heaven and earth poured into Long Chun's body. Long Chun's spirit began to fill up quickly, but Long Chun himself did not feel anything. He had been reciting the scriptures silently. His mind was clear and his heart was calm, and he forgot about everything. Ha! Suddenly, Long Chun's body trembled slightly, and Long Chun woke up from the quiet state. Long Chun found that he was already full of spirit and energy, full of strength, and the power of the 3 bloods had reached an unprecedented peak. Very good, you have fully recovered in an hour and a half, which means that you have almost perfectly achieved the unity of heaven and man. Lord Jingyuan praised. Almost perfect? That means it is not perfect enough. Lord Jingyuan, you are overpraising me. Long Chun said with a smile. If you pursue perfection in everything, it will not be beautiful after all. There are the secrets of heaven above, the veins of earth below, and people between heaven and earth. The 3 are combined to form the image of the 3 talents of heaven, earth, and man. Since it is an image, there is no absolute perfection. You should know when to stop and not go too far. Lord Jingyuan said. Disciple will keep it in mind. Long Chun said respectfully. Although your essence, energy, and spirit have recovered, your star power is not within the 3 talents. You need to spend time alone to recover. You continue to recover, and I will help you protect the law, Master Jingyuan said. After Long Chun thanked him, he formed seals with his hands, and suddenly, a starry vision covered the sky. 8 giant star gates appeared. Inside the giant gates, 8 huge stars flickered. The violent pressure made the sky tremble. Seeing Long Chun's star vision, Master Jingyuan couldn't help but frowned. Long Chen's 9-star hegemony body art has completely deviated from the original practice route. It is almost equivalent to creating a new star system. This is a heaven-defying difficulty. Master Jingyuan carefully observed Long Chen's starry sea vision and saw that the star maps were flowing, overlapping, complex, and mysterious, and the connections between them were inextricably linked, and it was impossible to sort out the laws between them. Master Jingyuan sighed. In other aspects, he could give Long Chen some suggestions and instructions, but in this regard, Long Chen could only rely on himself in the end. The power between these star maps is mutually reinforcing and complementary. Even Master Jingyuan, who is a scholar, is still helpless. It only takes more than an hour for Long Chen to recover his spirit, but it took 3 days to recover the power of the stars. 3 days later, Long Chen opened his eyes with an excited look on his face. Master Jingyuan, I have thought of a way to perfect the star battle body and make up for my nirvana defects. Really? This time, even Master Jingyuan was moved. In fact, he had been observing Long Chen during the process of making up for his loss, and the defects in Long Chen's nirvana also fell into his eyes. This defect is not so much a defect as a flaw, because Long Chen can still condense a complete life talisman. It will not affect Long Chen's advancement to the Emperor. However, because of the early exit, the flaws caused, Master Jingyuan thought of many ways, even sacrificing his own source power, but it was still impossible to make up for it. Especially Long Chen's star vision. Completely embarked on another path, even he was powerless. And Long Chen actually said at this time that he had found a way to make up for the defects. Even Master Jingyuan couldn't help but feel happy. When Long Chen told his plan, Master Jingyuan was silent for a long time, nodded and said, "Don't worry. Just act according to your plan, and leave the rest to me." With the support of Master Jingyuan, Long Chen couldn't help but be ecstatic. After Master Jingyuan's teachings, Long Chen kept thinking about everything he had in the Tianyu battlefield when he recovered his star power. Long Chen always felt that he seemed to have overlooked something extremely important, but just now, a flash of inspiration came to his mind, and he immediately grasped the key. "Next, are we going to start this?" asked Lord Jingyuan. "No, I have another thing to deal with." A murderous intent emerged in Long Chen's eyes. The void broke open, and Long Chen appeared alone. In front of him was the confluence of 4 mountain ranges of billions of miles, for dragons arching the pearl. This pearl is a towering ancient city, and this is the Jili ancient city where the 4 major clans are located. The 4 high mountains are formed by the confluence of 4 dragon veins, which belong to the 4 major clans of Long, Yi, Zhao, and Jiang, and are private property. Jili City is the main city jointly owned by the 4 major clans. Only those who have reached a certain level of strength are qualified to enter. When Long Chen appeared in front of Jili City, a shrill alarm resounded throughout Jili City. "Don't you really need me to accompany you?" The voice of Lord Jingyuan sounded in Long Chen's mind. Long Chen only asked Lord Jingyuan to send him over, and he had some things to solve. "Not for the time being. I asked them to give me a chance to uproot the God clan." Long Chen shook his head and appeared in front of the gate of the ancient city. As soon as Long Chen appeared, hundreds of God clan warriors, holding weapons, blocked Long Chen and shouted, "This is the Jili God clan. No one is allowed to approach without permission." These warriors were nervous. Although there were several emperor-level warriors among them, they recognized the person in front of them and their voices trembled. With a loud bang, these warriors, along with the city gate behind them, rolled all the way into the city. "It's Long Chen. Quickly inform the ancestor Baran," someone shouted in fear. Rumble. At the same time, a terrifying aura rose up, and countless warriors rushed from all directions. When they saw Long Chen, their scalps tingled. Why is this evil star here? They couldn't tell Long Chen from his inner demon. They only knew that Long Chen destroyed the Brahma Holy Land with his own hands. If it weren't for the intervention of Patriarch Baran, Long Can, one of the 8 great gods, would also be in danger. Long Chen opened his hands. A strong man who had just rushed over, before he could understand what was going on, was sucked directly in front of Long Chun by a terrifying suction force. That strong man was a genius of the God Clan and a survivor of the battlefield in the Heaven Realm. He had just passed the tribulation and broke through the Emperor Realm. When he saw Long Chun, his whole body stiffened instantly. He was extremely frightened and didn't even have the courage to resist. Pa! Long Chun stretched out his hand to grab his neck and said coldly, I am not here to kill people today. Tell me, where does Long Tianrui live? Bang! Long Chun got the information he wanted and threw the man away. With a loud bang, the man smashed an ancient pavilion and fainted. Who? Long Chen's figure flashed, like a meteor, passing through the center of the main city and coming to the dangerous peaks of the mountains behind the city. There were countless powerful people from the God Clan gathered here, but no one dared to stop Long Chun, and they only dared to follow from a distance. On a dangerous peak there was an immortal mansion. According to that person, this was Long Tianrui's residence. This immortal mansion was a top-level immortal mansion. The entire mountain was a huge spirit-gathering formation, connected to the Jilly City formation. This was the top-level immortal mansion in the God Clan. Looking at this immortal mansion at this time, Long Chun felt a pain in his heart. The woman was gone, and the immortal mansion was empty. Thinking of the scene of Long Tianrui turning into ashes in his arms, Long Chen's heart was like millions of steel needles piercing back and forth. Ka ka ka. Suddenly, the gate of the immortal mansion opened, and a thin woman was dragging 2 boxes out. Pa! However, before she could completely come out of the immortal mansion, she was hit by a palm from a distance, and she and the 2 boxes were pulled out and fell to the ground in embarrassment. Long Tianrui, that bitch is dead. Why don't you die with her? You still have to help her collect her relics. She has turned to ashes. Are you keeping her relics to burn them for that bitch? A female voice full of malice came. Then 4 women with gloomy faces walked out of the door. They looked at the thin woman with a sneer on their faces. They didn't even see Long Chun standing in the void, looking at them coldly. I don't know if it's because Long Tianrui is dead. The alarm formation here can't be activated, and they don't know what happened outside. The thin woman slowly got up from the ground, seemingly unable to hear the curses. She lowered her head, trembling, and walked towards the 2 boxes. Tick, tick. Tears dripped onto the ground, but she said nothing. To her, nothing mattered. She only wanted the 2 boxes. You lowly bastard. Now that the bitch Long Tianrui is dead, you have no one to lean on. Just wait for death, one of the women said with a face full of resentment. Half of this woman's face was burnt black, and she looked as ferocious as a ghost. Long Chun could recognize it at a glance. The wound was left by the Taiyin fire, which meant that this person had participated in that war. I don't know when she will die, but you will die soon. Long Chen's cold voice, like the whisper of the god of death, resounded throughout the venue. Long Chun. The woman with half of her face burned. Her eyes almost popped out when she saw Long Chun, as if she had seen a ghost. Ha! She instinctively wanted to escape, but Long Chun grabbed the 4 women in the air, and then the black flames instantly devoured them. Ah! The 4 people screamed miserably. The flame of the void! A strong man exclaimed, recognizing the origin of the black flame. Long Chun, don't go too far. At this moment, an old man in the crowd finally couldn't help but said angrily. That man was the head of the Long family. If you dare to fart again, your fate will be the same as theirs. Long Chun said coldly. You! The head of the Long family was furious, but looking at Long Chen's cold eyes, he really didn't dare to say another word. Long Chun, you actually came to my Jilly City alone. I have to admire your courage. Yi Baran's figure slowly emerged, standing with his hands behind his back, looking at Long Chun coldly. However, when Yi Baran appeared, Long Chun did not even look at him, and just walked to the thin woman. The woman raised her head at this time, revealing a face covered with spots under her messy hair, as if crawling with centipedes. The girl's face was full of black spots, which looked a bit ferocious and scary, making people not want to look at her a second time. But she had a pair of very spiritual eyes. Even though Long Chun was knowledgeable, he couldn't help but be slightly stunned when he saw the woman's face. The woman looked only 15 or 16 years old, and her eyes were full of resentment. The reason why she had been lowering her head before was that she was afraid that others would see her eyes. When she saw Long Chun, the girl trembled and said, You are Lord Long Chun. The Lord Long Chun that Sister Tianrui mentioned. Long Chun nodded. When he got closer, Long Chun realized that the girl's thin clothes were full of wounds. Seeing that the girl was holding the 2 boxes tightly, Long Chun understood that the girl had been enduring the torture of those people in order to protect the 2 boxes. Ancestor, save me. The 4 people were burned by the flame of Yenshu. Their bodies had turned into ashes, but their souls were still burning, and they screamed miserably. Yi Baran frowned. The 4 people had been burned by the flame of Yenshu for too long and could not be saved. Ha! Yi Baran raised his hand and a palm shadow fell on the 4 people, intending to kill them directly. Bang! At this moment, a black knife shadow whizzed past, and with a loud bang, it chopped Yi Baran's palm shadow. What? The gods were shocked. Ancestor Baran was a powerful god emperor. Even a casual attack contained the power of the supreme law. Even a half-step god emperor had to resist with all his strength. However, Long Chun casually slashed with a knife and actually blocked the move of Ancestor Baran. His knife! Ancestor Baran was also slightly surprised. Compared with the time when Long Chun in white clothes, the aura of this black long knife was more fierce and more evil. Moreover, this long sword has its own power of law, and a blade shadow has amazing destructive power. Ancestor! Ah! Seeing that the ancestor could not save them, the 4 peoples will collapsed, and finally they could not hold on and turned into ashes. Yi Baran's face was extremely ugly. Long Chun was too hateful. After deliberately blocking his attack, he strengthened the power of Yenshu Flame and burned the 4 people to death in front of him. This was equivalent to announcing to the entire God clan that as long as it was someone that Long Chun wanted to kill, no one could save him, not even Yi Baran. Seeing that Long Chun was hard against the attack of the ancestor Baran, the thin woman choked and pushed 2 boxes in front of Long Chun. Lord Long Chun, this is the relic of Sister Tianrui. Sister Tianrui has no bones left. I beg you, please help me build a tomb for my sister. Long Chun nodded, put away the 2 boxes, and stretched out his big hand to the girl. The girl was in disbelief. Because of the ugly spots on her face, countless people regarded her as a monster, full of disgust and ridicule. She suffered countless humiliations in her life. Finally, she met the noble person in her life, Long Tianrui, who took her in. Although they were only together for a few months, she felt endless warmth. But this warmth was so short-lived, like a dream. Long Tianrui died, and her fairy house had to be given up. Many precious things in the fairy house had already been looted. Only some of Long Tianrui's personal clothes and some things of little value were retained. And these things, she treasured and kept them, because these things were the last traces of Long Tianrui's stay in this world. Even in the face of all kinds of torture and ridicule, she didn't mind, and even deliberately made herself very embarrassed, so that they would be happy and let her take away these so-called junk. But in Long Tianrui's mouth, the only man in the world who could match her. However, when this handsome and domineering man, who looked down on countless powerful people, stretched out his big hand to her, she was a little at a loss. Her eyes were full of tears. She wanted to reach out her hand, but she didn't dare. She had been despised by countless people since she was a child because of her ugly appearance. Even her parents abandoned her. She had spent her whole life in extreme inferiority. But looking at Long Chen's gentle and encouraging eyes, the girl gritted her teeth, finally plucked up the courage, and held Long Chen's big hand. Long Chen's hand was big, generous, and warm. Being held by his hand, she felt that the whole world had become warm. Yi Baran shouted sternly, Long Chun, you are from the God clan, but you are ruthless to the disciples of the God clan, and your hands are covered with Noisy. Long Chan snorted coldly and interrupted Yi Baran directly. I came here today for only two things. First, I want to take Tian Rui's relics and this little girl away. Second, I want the God Clan to execute Long Biluo and all those who participated in the siege of me in the Tianyu battlefield. Hearing Long Chen's words, all the God Clan strongmen were shocked and angry. What did Long Chen think of the God Clan? The God Clan not only has Yi Baran, a powerful God Emperor, in charge, but also has the Chaos Artifact Jili Tower to suppress their destiny. Long Chen actually dared to say such arrogant words. Ha ha ha. Yi Baran laughed in anger. Okay. You are really worthy of being a member of my God Clan? You are so arrogant, but do you think I will agree to you? Do you think you can leave Jili City alive today? Long Chen said coldly. The two conditions I put forward are not to discuss with you, but to inform you. As for how to do it, it depends on you, life or death, survival or destruction. Everything is in your hands. As for whether I can leave alive, it depends on you, Yi Baran. Whether you have the ability to keep me. With a loud boom, the starlight covered the sky, and the 8 stargates behind Long Chen opened at the same time. The violent star power surged, and the entire Jili city was shaking constantly. The large formation in the city kept shaking, and it seemed that there was a risk of exploding at any time. Damn it! Yi Baran was shocked and angry. His aura had been locked on Long Chen. Logically, under this situation, Long Chen could not open the vision. However, Long Chen's star vision was not affected by his lock and broke out directly. The 8 star gates trembled, and the 8 stars in the gates were like 8 huge suns. The unstable star power was like 8 volcanoes that could erupt at any time. Once the power of the 8 star gates was detonated, Jili City would be razed to the ground in an instant. Dare to threaten me? Yi Baran said with a gloomy face. Who do you think you are? Are you worthy of being threatened by me, Long Chen? If you don't accept it, you can use the power of Jili Tower to suppress me. I want to see if Jili Tower is in a state of semi-disuse like Chenquin Ding and Tianmikan. I also want to try whether I can burst out my star power under the suppression of Jili Tower and drag millions of powerful people of the God Clan to be buried with me. Long Chen held the girl with his left hand, and the dragon bone evil moon in his right hand flashed with vast starlight, and the sharp tip of the knife pointed directly at Yi Baran. However, at this time, Yi Baran's forehead was bulging with blue veins, and his eyes were full of murderous intent. But he didn't dare to make a move at all, because he was not sure that he could subdue Long Chen in an instant. If he couldn't subdue him in one blow, the entire Jili city would be destroyed in an instant. Although the Jili formation has amazing defense, if it is fully opened, it can withstand a blow from a powerful God Emperor. But that is also to block external forces, but in the city Long Chen's star power, it can't stop it at all. The most important thing is that the dragon bone evil moon in Long Chen's hand exudes a terrifying aura, and its power is no less than Long Chen's. If Yi Baran deploys the law of heaven and earth, he has no confidence in subduing one person and one soldier at the same time, but if he deploys the law of heaven and earth, Jili City will be destroyed without Long Chen's action. Waste! Seeing that Yi Baran dared not to make a move, Long Chen sneered. The next time Long descends, Jili City will be destroyed. Ha! The dragon bone evil moon in Long Chen's hand cut through the void, pulled the girl, and stepped directly into the void crack, and disappeared in an instant. Yi Baran's face was gloomy and he didn't say a word, and the strong men of the God Clan were like ducks hearing thunder, and they didn't dare to move like stone statues. Who? Long Chen's figure emerged from the void and appeared beside Master Jingyuan. In fact, although Longu Sheiyue has the ability to break through the void, it does not have the anti-ability of precise teleportation. The fact that it can appear here is controlled by Master Jingyuan. This is Master Jingyuan, Long Chen said to the girl he was holding. Hello, Master Jingyuan. The girl was very nervous at this time, and her voice was trembling. Before, she was scared. Yi Baran's God Emperor pressure made her soul almost leave her body. Although she is safe now, she is still in shock. Ha! Master Jingyuan looked at the girl, and couldn't help but be slightly stunned. Longchen sighed and said, "The whole God clan is a bunch of blind people. They can't even see the innate Tao patterns." Lord Jingyuan nodded and said, "Innate Tao patterns are divided into two types, self-evident and self-obscure. She belongs to the latter, so it's normal that she can't see them. You don't want me to accompany you to Jili City. Do you want to test Jili Tower on purpose?" Longchen nodded and said, "Just as I expected, the situation of Jili Tower may not be much better than that of Tiamakin. Otherwise, Yi Baran will definitely suppress me without hesitation. On the other hand, I also want to issue a challenge. The God clan has bullied me several times. I have tolerated them again and again because of my blood relationship. And this time, they first joined forces with the evil demons from outside the domain in the Tianyu battlefield, intending to kill me. Later, they supported Long Ken in the Brahma Holy Land and wanted to kill me. They have touched my reverse scale. When I advance to the Emperor, Jili City will be destroyed. The battle on the Tianyu battlefield was extremely tragic. Xie Yu told Long Chun everything. Although there was no time to count, Xie Yu told Long Chun that the Dragon Blood Corps must have suffered casualties, but it was impossible to determine how many there were. The number of casualties in the forces such as the Beginning Demon Clan, the Dragon Clan, the Fusion Beast Clan, the Four-Party Alliance, the Ling Shao Academy, and the Xinghe sect was definitely not small. Long Chen's anger completely erupted. Even if he bore the infamy of destroying his ancestors, he would seek justice for those who lost their lives for him. Long Chun came here this time and deliberately put forward that condition. Long Chun knew that the God clan would never hand over Long Biluo to him. After all, Long Biluo was the future of the God clan. Moreover, the God clan had the Jili Tower in hand and was full of confidence. They would not take Long Chun seriously at all. The reason why Long Chun still wanted to do this was to tell the God clan that Long Chun was ready for revenge, and those who did not want to be enemies with Long Chun should take care of themselves. In fact, this was also Long Chen's reminder to Zhang Fengfei and Zhang Yuei that he and the God clan had no room for maneuver now, so they should not make any more unnecessary efforts. If they wanted to survive, they should leave quickly. As for how many people they can persuade to leave, it depends on how many lives are not supposed to end. Lord Jingyuan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Long Chun had roughly known the situation of Jili Tower through testing. The next step was to prepare to kill them. They were obviously his own people, but they were forced to become enemies who would never stop fighting. Perhaps this was the fate of the gods. Since Long Chun had made a decision, Lord Jingyuan said nothing more and took the two back to the first academy. When Long Chun pulled the girl into the academy and countless strong men respectfully called Dean Long Chun, the girl's face flushed red. She had always been inferior and was very afraid of other people's eyes. "What's your name?" Long Chun asked. The girl hurriedly said, "Report to Lord Long Chun." No, report to Dean Long Chun. "My name is Ling Yu." Long Chun kept holding the girl's hand, and her hands were still shaking, and she was very nervous. Long Chun did not reply and took her to the academy square. At this time, people were coming and going in the square. As the number of people increased, Ling Yu became more nervous. In front of the two of them, there was a stone wall as smooth as a mirror, reflecting the figures of the two people, and Ling Yu did not dare to look up. "Look forward." After hearing Long Chen's words, Ling Yu noticed the stone wall. When she saw the shadow in the stone wall, she could not help but exclaimed. She found that the dense, strange, and hideous lines on her face had disappeared, revealing a pretty face full of delicateness. Lord Long Chun. Ling Yu could not believe her eyes. The lines on her face were deep into her flesh and blood. Even if the whole skin was torn off, the new skin would still look the same. But now, at some point, the lines disappeared. Long Chun said, "The lines on your face are innate Tao lines, a very rare variant bloodline. It's a pity that the gods are all a bunch of idiots, and no one recognized it, causing you to miss the best time to activate the lines. I used the power of purple blood to help you activate the innate Tao lines. From now on, the innate Tao lines will be integrated into your bloodline, and your path of cultivation will become a smooth road. Why are you crying?" Ling Yu choked and said, "Sister Tianrui also said that I have innate Tao lines. but she didn't help me activate it. She said, "Wait until she comes back from the Tianyu battlefield." At this point, Ling Yu couldn't say anything more and burst into tears. Long Chen then realized that Long Tianrui had also seen Ling use innate Dao lines. She herself didn't have the ability to activate the innate Dao lines, but there were countless opportunities in the Tianyu battlefield. She believed that she could find natural treasures to activate the innate Dao lines, but she didn't expect that Long Tianrui would break the appointment. Listening to Ling Yu crying and thinking of the scene of Long Tianrui disappearing in his arms, Long Chen felt very uncomfortable and angry at the same time. Maybe I'm really a waste. Long Chen thought of the name his inner demon called him. Only waste would be treated as food and have so many enemies. To put it bluntly, he was not strong enough and not ruthless enough. Ling Yu, from today on, you are a disciple of my Lingshao Academy. Be brave and start a new life. Okay? Long Chen gently patted Ling Yu's thin shoulders and said softly. Ling Yu nodded, wiped away her tears and nodded firmly. Long Chen waved to the distance, and an old man immediately appeared, bowed and saluted. Dean Long Chen. This is Ling Yu. Take her to take the entrance examination, Long Chen said. The old man was a little confused about Long Chen's thoughts. He was obviously the dean, and the little girl was still being pulled by him. It was obvious that they had an unusual relationship. Why did they have to take the entrance examination? Yes. Follow me. Although he was confused, he still did what Long Chen said. Long Chen let go of Ling Yu's hand, and Ling Yu suddenly became a little nervous again. Long Chen smiled at her, and Ling Yu followed the old man and left. Ling Yu's physique has amazing potential, but unfortunately, she was delayed by a group of mediocre people. Otherwise, she would definitely become a genius who would amaze the world. But think about it, if she had not been buried, became a genius among the gods, and finally entered the battlefield of the heavenly realm, she might have been killed by Long Chen himself. What Long Chen didn't know was that although Ling Yu missed the golden period of awakening spirits, she had experienced all kinds of tragic experiences and cherished this opportunity very much. She practiced hard and eventually became a famous sage mentor in the history of Lingshao Academy, and personally taught several great figures. Long Chen. Just after Long Chen arranged Ling Yu's affairs, an exasperated voice came, followed by a green light, ignoring the barrier of Lingshao Academy and rushing in directly. Long Chen, you bastard. You've caused your sixth master so much trouble. A roar came, and a green light flashed, rushing directly in front of Long Chen. The long-lost green-feathered parrot appeared, but this time, Long Chen almost laughed when he saw the green-feathered parrot. The green-feathered parrot used to have emerald green feathers, like jade, smooth and lustrous, like a beautiful jade carved by a master craftsman. However, the green-feathered parrot now has most of its feathers missing, especially the buttocks, which are directly bald. Green Sixth Master, what's wrong with you? Long Chen tried to hold back his laughter and said in surprise. What's the matter? You damned bastard. You and that broken tripod conspired against Sixth Master. I curse you to have no toilet paper when you poop, lose money when you go out, and have fish stuck in your throat. The green-feathered parrot flew in front of Long Chen, pointed at Long Chen with its half-bald wings and cursed. Hey, hey, hey! Let's talk it out. Where are my friends? Long Chen hurriedly said. I sent them all to the Dragon Clan. No, I threw them all into the cesspool. If you want their lives, bring money to redeem them. The green parrot roared. Come on, sixth brother, sixth master. Calm down. What is going on? Please tell me. Hearing that green old six sent everyone to the Dragon Clan, Long Chen was completely relieved. Looking at its posture, it seemed that it had suffered a great loss because of escorting everyone. This favor was a big debt, so Long Chen hurriedly said politely. After cursing for a while, the green-haired parrot seemed to have lost a lot of anger and cursed. That damned place of absolute Een, there are many monsters sealed. When the sixth master ran, he ran into the monster's nest. Damn, why am I so unlucky? If I were alone, they wouldn't even be able to touch me. In order to protect your group of friends who are as weak as chickens, I have to activate the power of origin. Now, not only have I vomited out all the food I ate from you, but I have also lost all the capital I have accumulated over the years. You have to compensate me. At this point, the green-haired parrot was like crazy, and it pounced on Long Chun and was about to fight with him. Long Chun suddenly remembered what Xiaoyu said, the two-headed giant wolf that Long Chun in white encountered in the space crack. From the tone of his voice, the green-haired parrot flew into the wolf's nest. In order to protect everyone, it suffered a great loss, and it was coming to settle accounts with him. Calm down, calm down. You have helped me a lot. I, Long Chun, owe you a favor and will definitely repay you. Long Chun said loudly while dodging the crazy chicken-like attack. Ha! The green-haired parrot flattened its head and said with a gritting look, Tell me, how are you going to repay? When are you going to repay? Do you want to repay the principal first, or the interest first? When Long Chun heard the principal and interest, he was alert. This green old six might ask for a lot. Long Chun said seriously, You are wrong. We have met several times, and we are destined to be together. What's the point of talking about the principal and interest? It hurts our feelings. The green-haired parrot sneered, Don't talk nonsense to me. The first time we met, you and Pading blackmailed my puppet and blackmailed me for a set of curses. You still have the face to talk about feelings with me? Ahem, I, Long Chun, have never blackmailed a few people in my life, and you were blackmailed by me. Isn't this fate? Long Chun coughed dryly and said without blushing or beating his heart, Don't talk to me about those useless things. Hurry up and compensate me, otherwise, I will never let you go. The green-haired parrot looked like a creditor who would not leave unless he paid. Compensation is for sure, but you also saw that Senior Kuanding merged with Chending, and all my assets were kept by Senior Kuanding for me. When I rescue Senior Kuanding, I promise to give you everything that Senior Kuanding kept. Long Chun said seriously. When he said this, Long Chun couldn't help but feel guilty. Kuanding didn't have anything from him, but he had to bite the bullet and say it now. Tisk, do you think I'm a fool? You still want me to help you save that old tripod? Your calculations are louder than thunder. Do you think I can't hear it? The green-haired parrot said with disdain. His thoughts were exposed, and Long Chen's face was a little embarrassed. Hey, green old six, it's meaningless when you say that. I ask you, when I was in Nirvana, was it me who called you to come, or did Senior Kuanding beg you to come? The green-haired parrot stared with two green bean eyes and said nothing. Long Chun continued, You saw the benefits and came to take advantage of it. Although I did benefit, this is at most a mutually beneficial cooperation. Okay, you said before that we don't talk about feelings, so let's be realistic and talk about business. Business is business. Since it is a business, there will be risks, there will be gains and losses. Who can only make profits and not losses in their business for a lifetime? Even Huayun Commercial Bank has made mistakes and lost money. Our cooperation this time is equivalent to doing business in partnership. Now the business has lost money. What's the matter? You actually want your partners to compensate for your losses? Can you still have some shame? The green-haired parrot was speechless by Long Chen's words. It didn't know how to refute. Although it felt that something was wrong, it couldn't tell what was wrong. If you say that our cooperation is a business, then if the business fails, we will break up and go back to our own homes and find our own mothers. But I, Long Chun, am not a businessman. I will never forget anyone who has helped me. As long as there is a chance, I will definitely return this favor tenfold or 100-fold. But you acted so confidently right from the start, thinking that I owed you something. What's the point of talking about interest and principal? Then there's nothing to talk about. Goodbye, I won't see you off. Long Chun waved his sleeves and pretended to leave. That won't work. Old Ding said at the time that if I help you, I will definitely benefit from it. It also said that if I follow you, I can get what I want. The green-haired parrot was anxious and hurriedly stopped Long Chun. Sure enough, this green old six was deliberately left to me by Senior Kuanding. However, Long Chun remained calm on the surface, squinting at the green-haired parrot and said, Who said that? Old Ding said that. Since he said that, go find him. Why are you looking for me? Long Chen turned and walked away. Hey, hey, hey! The green-haired parrot got anxious and stopped Long Chen in a flash, saying, "You don't want to pay any money at all. This is too ruthless. I protected your friend for you, and it's so miserable and you just walk away?" Hearing what the green-haired parrot said, Long Chen said impatiently, "Don't talk to me about money. It hurts our feelings." Green-haired parrot, "Then talk about feelings. Don't talk to me about feelings. It hurts money." Green-haired parrot, "Fuck." Seeing that the green-haired parrot was really getting angry, Long Chen said seriously, "I'm going to do a big deal now. Don't mess with me now. It won't be long before I can make you fat and bloated. The premise is that you have to listen to me during this period of time." "Really?" The green-haired parrot rolled its eyes and said with distrust, "Get out if you don't believe it." Long Chen was too lazy to pay attention to it and turned away. "I'm not leaving. You have to pay me back everything you owe me. No, pay me back 10-fold or 100-fold, as you said just now." The green-haired parrot landed directly on Long Chen's head. "You don't even know the difference between a big king and a small king." Long Chen was furious. He grabbed it and kicked it away. "Long Chen, you bastard. I helped you so much, and you treat me like this. Do you think I'm so injured and easy to bully?" The green-haired parrot was furious. "Fuck you. Don't you see what color you are? If you fall on my head again, I'll stew you," Long Chen said angrily. The green-haired parrot seemed to react, and landed on Long Chen's shoulder obediently, and followed Long Chen into the academy. Rustle, rustle. The sound of sweeping the floor came, and the green-haired parrot's eyes widened. "This old man, why does he look a little familiar?" "Master Jingyuan, my plan is about to begin. I'll get up and go to Dragon Domain now," Long Chen said. The master of the Jingyuan nodded. Long Chen bowed, turned around and left. But before he had gone far, he heard the master of the Jingyuan muttering to himself, "Not a good bird. The green-feathered parrot. Who is that old man? Why is he so uncultured? What do you mean by not a good bird? He's clearly coming for me. I tell you, if it weren't for your face, I would definitely beat him up. Do you believe it?" Coming out of the academy, the green-haired parrot couldn't help but mutter, "He's just an ordinary old man sweeping the floor in the academy. A temporary worker. Since you want to beat him up, let's go back." After Long Chen finished speaking, he turned around and walked back. Hey, 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 forget it. Sixth Master is also a person of status. It seems that I am too petty to argue with an old man sweeping the floor." Seeing Long Chen turn his head, the frightened green-haired parrot hurriedly stopped him. "TSK. Looking at the green-haired parrot's pretentious behavior, you know that this guy must know the horror of Master Jingyuan." However, Kuan-Ding has always refused to tell Long Chen the origin of this green-haired parrot, and from the tone of Master Jingyuan, it seems that he also knows this green-haired parrot, which makes it more certain that this guy's origin is not ordinary. "Green Sixth, can you take me to the dragon territory?" Long Chen asked. "Want to ride me? Get lost. I've been cheated of all the money I've saved for so many years. I tell you, I'm absolutely stingy now." The green-haired parrot snorted. Long Chen tilted his head, glanced at the green-haired parrot that looked like a bald-haired chicken, and nodded. "What's that look in your eyes?" The green-haired parrot was furious. "How about we buy some chicken feathers when we pass by the market later?" Long Chen said seriously. "Long Chen, I'll fight you," the green-haired parrot roared. Half an hour later, the green-haired parrot turned into a golden and green parrot. This guy spread his wings. "Don't say it, don't say it. This thing is not bad. Why don't you keep talking tough?" Long Chen looked at the green-haired parrot that no longer looked like a bald-haired chicken, with a look of contempt on his face. "This color is okay, but the grade is too low. The golden feather of the human emperor-level golden-winged rock is not worthy of the sixth master status. It must be at least the level of the god emperor. However, it can barely make do." The green-haired parrot flew a circle in the air and evaluated itself. Long Chen was too lazy to pay attention to it. This was already the strongest divine feather that could be found in this small city. After leaving the small city, Long Chun took off his disguise, spread the wings of Kuanping behind him, and whistled away. The green-haired parrot must have a way to cross the void. But as it said, it is now stingy and unwilling to help Long Chun. Long Chun had no choice but to fly by himself. Soon, an ancient city appeared in front of him. Long Chun needed to take the teleportation array in the ancient city to leave, which would save some time. The ancient city was very large. Although it was not one of the 8 divine cities, it was of an astonishing scale and there were countless powerful people coming and going. Long Chun did not want to cause any impact, so he planned to disguise himself and teleport away directly. As a result, Long Chun had just arrived at the gate of the ancient city, and before he could disguise himself, the green-haired parrot opened its throat and yelled, "Listen, people in the city, if you don't want to die, get out of the way of the 6th master. Otherwise the 6th master will be furious and slaughter the city, and blood will flow like a river. Don't make mistakes. If you don't accept it, just come out and fight." Long Chen's face turned black when he heard it. The green-haired parrot's shout immediately alarmed countless strong men in the city. However, when these strong men saw Long Chun, they all cried out in surprise. "You wait!" Looking at the smug look on the green-haired parrot's face, Long Chun said a cruel word and walked into the city. Oh my God, Long Chun, who slaughtered most of the battlefield in the Heaven Realm, destroyed the Brahma Holy Land, and broke into the God Clan alone, ignored the God Emperor Strongmen and the Chaos Artifact Jili Tower, and threatened to destroy Jili City, actually appeared here. Someone exclaimed. Nowadays, almost everyone in the 9 heavens and 10 earths knows Long Chen's name, although most of the survivors did not see the great battle in the Heavenly Domain battlefield. The descriptions of the Heavenly Domain battlefield are different, and no one knows whether to believe it or not. However, Long Chun in white destroyed the Brahma Holy Land alone and killed Long Ken, one of the 8 great gods, without the ability to fight back. Especially the scene of the throne against the throne shocked countless people. Before, they were all furious when they heard Lu Laoyos shouting. They wanted to see who was so arrogant. However, when they saw Long Chun, they felt that if this tone came from Long Chen's mouth, it would be reasonable. In the ancient city, there are many strong people, many of whom have just passed the tribulation and advanced to the emperor. Such strong people are already extraordinary figures in the 9 heavens world. After all, this era belongs to them. But in front of Long Chun, they dared not even breathe, especially those non-human strongmen. They wanted to run, but they did not dare to run, for fear of angering Long Chun and being killed in one blow. If they did not run, they might still have a chance to survive. Dean Long Chun. When Long Chun arrived, the city lord ran out at the first time. This city lord was a late emperor. Although his realm was there, in terms of real combat power, he was probably not much stronger than those contemporary geniuses who had just become emperors. "I would like to borrow your city's teleportation array. Please forgive me for disturbing you." Long Chun bowed. When they heard that Long Chun was going to use the teleportation array, all the strongmen in line hurriedly stepped aside to let Long Chun use the teleportation array first. Ha ha ha! When the 6th master arrives, the earth roars and the sky howls. When the 6th master leaves, ghosts cry and gods weep. The green-haired parrot stood on Long Chen's shoulder with an arrogant look on his face. Wow! This girl is so pretty. Oh! The green-haired parrot suddenly saw a beautiful demon, and his eyes lit up. As a result, Long Chun pulled his legs and threw him out. Buzz! Long Chun did not wait for the green-haired parrot to come back, and directly activated the teleportation array and disappeared in an instant. Long Chun, your uncle, wait for me! The green-haired parrot was glowing all over, and plunged into the still twisting void, and disappeared in an instant. It's just a joke. Are you so stingy? The green-haired parrot stood on Long Chen's shoulder, with a look of contempt on his face. Long Chun looked at the green-haired parrot and was secretly shocked. The teleportation array had been activated, and it could actually find the teleportation channel accurately, catch up, and shuttle through the void with extreme ease. This ability is incredible. By the way, Green Old Six, how can I help you recover your strength quickly? Long Chun asked. Hearing this question, The green parrot suddenly became more serious and said, "The life force, death force, law force, origin force, luck force, faith force, etc. between heaven and earth, whether good or bad, can help me recover my strength quickly." It's so simple. Then shouldn't you have recovered long ago? Long Chun couldn't help asking. After Long Chun asked, he found that green old six eyes were rolling around. Long Chun said unhappily, "Don't play those tricks with me. Tell me the truth, otherwise I won't help you." Green old six hesitated for a long time and seemed to have made up his mind. He gritted his teeth and said, "I can absorb all the power between heaven and earth to recover, but the recovery is very slow. That old tripod said that you can help me recover quickly, especially when you are going through the heavenly tribulation."